It is 9:30 on a Thursday night, and you are tuned in to Beltway Radio and Beyond, which can mean one and only thing, that this is Chip Chat. I'm Chip. Who are you, Tez?
You just told him, buddy.
So, as has been the case for the last, several weeks, right? We're on now on the time slot that we have had since 2015.
It's a good time slot.
To be very clear, we haven't changed anything about this show since 2015, except a couple of co-hosts, where we do it from, and the fact that we now have video.
Yeah.
But the show has been on from that time, from 9:30 on Thursday night, all that time. But for whatever reason, all of these other people keep trying to counter-program us, whether it's with a debate or a speech, or right now,
State of the Union.
State of the Union. Right now, Senator Mark Kelly and his wife, former Representative Gabby Giffords, are speaking at the DNC. You can tune into them later.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's crazy.
Watch that later. But give money to the campaign, then watch it later.
Please.
So this is a special edition of this show.
We don't do regular editions anymore. I one day, I don't know when that day is coming.
First of all, I like your shirt.
Oh, thank you.
You want to explain to everybody what this says? Is this
84
vintage or this is a reprint?
Reprint.
Okay. Yeah.
It
says vote Barry for life.
Yeah.
And it was not meaning install him for forever.
No.
It was for life, as opposed to for death.
Yes.
Yes. It just turned out that he then became mayor for life.
Right.
Which worked well for, I think, a lot of us.
It's very successful. I mean, and I think even prior to him being mayor, I think folks need to really do their history and look at his involvement with SNCC.
Yeah.
And
people think he just sort of rolled.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah,
he's not even from here.
Yeah, exactly.
He's from North Carolina.
It's insane, and I don't know. There's a lot of. He obviously is known for one thing nationally, which I've always been a little frustrated with, and especially the way we look at addiction now.
Yeah,
it's kind of it's just, I don't know. There are many thoughts on that, but yeah, his career is long. It's storied. I think look at him on the school board as well too. A lot of a lot of work. A lot of work.
And he always had his eye on the ball in his own failings aside, whatever they are. He always had this overarching mission of advancing the rights of the people, equality, access. I think access is kind of
huge,
the biggest thing. And
I mean, a jobs program.
The jobs program
is it no one and we see that the council is trying to harness that and make sure that that's a thing that continues on. It's named after him, I do believe.
Right. It is
he
put his name on everything. I mean, he wasn't an idiot politically.
No, not at all.
One of my favorite moments for myself personally in radio is when him and Kojo were having a fight.
Yeah.
On the Kojo Namdi show, because Kojo had called him disgraced former mayor, and Barry didn't like that, and so he came on the show to debate about it.
Right.
And I called in. And I got through and I said, look, he had his personal failings, but that doesn't eclipse his, political successes. And, his political successes don't offset his personal failings. The two things can both be true. And he means a lot to a lot of people in a lot of ways. And Sherwood goes, this is the most reasonable call we've ever had. How did he get through the screening?
Right, yeah. Why that's not here for radio for,
I was never the same after that. He called me reasonable. I vowed to never be called that again.
And I think also, too, which, I mean, it's a whole different, we could do a different show. One day we'll do a summit on it. But the whole, grand alliance between our two folks, I think
Barry was a big part of that.
Yes. Yeah. So
you don't get successful in Washington, D.C. and have the support. That's a whole other show.
A whole different show. But it's a very, very powerful alliance that, I thought you could example and you could go run down the line.
It's about to be tested to the extreme right now.
Yeah, I don't think it has to be. I don't think it has
shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be. No.
But we're mentioning all this kind of to set up a segment that we're going to have later. I'm also wearing a vintage shirt.
Yes. Oh wow, that is the vintage.
This is actually from that
92
campaign,
right? Yeah.
This is the 92.
Yeah.
Bill Jeff shirt. Him playing saxophone on there in honor of his 16-hour speech last night.
Blew through it. I was like, yo,
giving Bill Clinton a time limit is the dumbest thing you could ever do.
Right.
He respects time limit like he respects a marriage. Not at all. He's just going to do whatever he wants to do. And just like that, everybody's going to let him do it too because he's so funny and charming.
Yo, that's insane. Tell
me I'm wrong.
I just want to move on.
Okay.
That's crazy.
But anyway, tonight is a special night. We have a special guest who's going to be joining us. I don't know if he's in the bullpen yet, but we are going to be talking to J. Scott Smith.
Yes,
and he's one of our favorite people. We've got all kinds of stuff that we want to talk to him about. So it's going to be good. We will have updates from the convention, which is going on. We're going to have a special crime wave segment.
Crime's up.
Yeah, there's all kinds of crime. It's migrant crime. It's migrated from Ward 8 to Ward 6, apparently.
Right.
Where the buildings are a little bit more expensive.
Right.
We'll have some AI stuff. This wasn't even in a test talk, although it might end up in one. And so this, I can't wait to ask you about this because this is the intersection of your favorite things of technology and government.
Yeah.
In a way that I think is going to be terrifying. So it's all going to be pretty good, I think. And right now, is that Pink singing with the Chicks? Are they together, or is it just no? It's just Pink with her own band. Okay, well,
yeah, the Chicks were on earlier though.
Oh yes, that's right. I heard them sing the anthem.
Remember people stomped their CDs?
Yeah. Well, that was the RNC that stomped their CDs.
Yeah,
yeah, they were mad because they were like, "Hey, maybe the war is a bad idea."
That's not crazy.
And now Donald Trump is like, "Wars are bad ideas," and they're all like, "Yeah, we shouldn't do war anymore."
And now they shoot beer cans. Everything is flipped on its head.
It's insane.
It's literally doesn't make any sense.
That
doesn't make any sense.
I was riding up and I heard them singing. They sang the anthem, and I got to give a little shout out to the fans that when they hit the O's part, there was the O's. You could hear it.
Good.
So yeah, shout out. Wish we could win a game. Been a bad night. Corbin Burns got lit up.
This could be a whole different thing. But remember, the path to the World Series and winning it is through the wild card. Don't win the division.
Apparently,
I'm telling you, don't win. I've actually called for an Orioles World Series, and I'll call it here. So I've called that the Orioles will win the World Series if they make the wild card. If they make the wild card, I believe they win the World Series.
You heard it from noted baseball expert.
Yeah,
Tez.
I really, because looking at what happened last year, that's not the method.
Clearly not.
As a team,
we got beat by a wild card team.
As a fan who
won the World Series.
As a fan who won many NLEs. Never worked out for us either.
That's true. And added the fact, the Orioles, remember 10 years ago, got beaten by a wild card team that ended up going to the World Series.
I'm telling you.
And surprisingly enough, it was an all wild card World Series just like last year.
Yeah.
Look, I'm telling you, I don't know. I'm just going on. I don't know anything.
Breaking news: Tez has been hired by ESPN, and now I need a new co-host.
Yo.
Hopefully, Jay is interested in the job.
ESPN isn't having me. I go in there and start talking to politics. I was supposed to be on.
No, they'll take you now.
Because now they made the mistake. I forgot.
They need
people. No one. Everybody's like, why would I do that? I'll start my own fucking network.
Just a Pat McAfee show. All right, here's what we're gonna do. Do you have your word?
I've
got a word.
God, I got a word.
Okay, we're gonna see if this works. So sit back, grab some
envelopes.
It's Emmy time. You're listening to the best show, the only show. ChipChat Radio.
Sweet.
It works. All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's popping up?
Okay, so this is a special segment. We didn't want to do this segment.
No.
We didn't intend to do the segment. What we're going to do here is we're going to tell you a thing that happened and what we know, and then we're going to talk about how this feels to us because we both have feelings about this.
Yeah.
And none of them are good. I don't think I have any positive feelings about this. Okay, here's what you need to know. The DC Council is made up of 13 members or something? Okay, it's 13 members. One of them is called Trayon White. He is not. He's black.
That's a good point.
But his name is Trayon White. He represents Ward 8,
right,
which is the least economically powerful ward in the city. I think that's a fair way to put it. It is east of the river, although now I guess they have the tiny slice.
When they did the rezoning, the tiny site from Navy Yard is in there.
Yeah. And
I don't know about where he was at.
Not where he was at. So he represents Ward 8. One of the rules in DC government is that you have to live in the ward that you represent.
Yep.
For obvious reasons. I think that's fair.
And I wonder even if someone says live as almost have a
have an address there.
Yeah, I don't know. I need to look deeper into it, but I think it's literally just having the address.
Yeah, I'm sure that there are people who have multiple locations and stuff, but you gotta have a primary residence there.
Right.
Okay. So he's been a council member now. I think he's on his third cycle.
He's
been reelected at least once that I know.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, at least once.
He just won his primary race back in June. And in Washington, D.C., the Democratic primary is effectively the race. So, that's the setup.
Yeah.
Okay. Because this is a long and complicated story, and because our guest is ready for us in the bullpen, we're going to leave you in suspense with that information.
It's called a tease.
It seems like, well, what would we be talking about with Trayon? I mean, unless the weather changes.
Don't do that, yo. You're fair. It is. It's a fact that was said. That is not true.
It's a factor in this story, and I think for the worst reasons. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk to Jay.
Let's talk.
Okay. So Jay Scott Smith is an award-winning journalist who has worked in print, radio, television. He's a dedicated Detroit sports fan and a frequent guest on our show. Jay, welcome back to Chip Chat.
Gentlemen, it's been a while. Beyond in Washington, D.C. I'm Jay Scott Smith, and this is the part of the hour where I tell you some stuff that's going on in the news.
There you go. How do you like hearing your own voice, Jay?
Gentlemen, it's good to be back here. It's been a minute.
Yes,
it's been a minute, but it's good to be here. Good to be seen. And so, what would you like to talk about?
Well,
we got a lot happening.
We do have a lot happening. First of all, we want to say that since you've been coming on our show, which is going back a really long time, you've won a whole bunch of awards. Is it safe to say that we are the key to your success?
I've been meaning to tell you. I've just been meaning to tell you about that. It certainly hasn't hurt. It certainly hasn't hurt. So the last I talked to you guys, I was sitting on 4 Murrow Awards that I won in radio. Got the AP Award. The Pennsylvania Association of Broadcasters got an award to me. And earlier this month, I got nominated for my first 2 Emmys. So it's been it's been something. And the one of them was for the television station I work at is in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. It's WGAL, the NBC affiliate here in Lancaster, and for Harrisburg, the state capital, Amish country, York, that whole part of Pennsylvania. That's rather interesting, I'll say the least. And we got nominated for an Emmy for our coverage of the bridge collapse in Baltimore, and a second one just for our overall morning news broadcast. So you guys got me on a perfect night because I don't work Thursday or Friday. So you got me on an evening where I'm not normally asleep. So this works out great. But yeah, I would say that the bump from Chip Chat is real. And I just want to make sure that people understand that they hear that you get that down on tape. That's exactly, make sure you just like rack that, clip that, whatever you got to do. But I will say it I can't explain it any other way. I hadn't done TV until a year ago, and now I got 2 Emmy nominations. So what the hell am I supposed to do?
I mean, hey, print it.
This is crazy.
What do you mean it's crazy?
All the work Jay does on his own. And you come in, not even with just you, Jay, any guest that comes in here. It's just shameless. It's so shameless that happens on this show.
We've been friends for a while now. He's won so many awards. You know, Jay has been on our show since Larry and I were doing this out of the back of my shed, okay? And with like a very tenuous Wi-Fi connection. and he has been there the whole time because we have supported him and he has supported us. Why should we not take credit for his achievements?
Oh, yeah, that's it. Why not? Obviously, why not?
All right, so Jay, we do have a real question. This, I think you probably have a lot of thoughts on this. Years ago, you suggested that we join the National Association of Black Journalists, and you know, in light of the recent Trump visit to the conference, do you want to rethink that suggestion?
I'm kind of wondering what it would have been like had you actually been in that hotel in Chicago when he showed up there. You might have been the guy that got us sorted out, because it would have been it. That was an adventure. So here's the thing. I was actually not physically there at the time when it happened. I was on the flight from Philadelphia to Chicago. My flight got delayed because he was out there, because they had to clear the airspace in and around Chicago. So I was supposed to be there like 2 hours early, but I couldn't get there. So we couldn't get there. So I'm on the plane, and I will say that is probably the best time I've ever had not having any connection to any sort of internet. I didn't see any videos. I didn't see it live. The second the plane touches down in Chicago and I pull this thing off of airplane mode, text message. The group chat's going crazy. People sending me videos. I'm seeing the mentions coming up. It's like, did you see this? Did you see? No, I didn't. I was perfectly fine not seeing it. It was that was a situation that, kind of get a little bit behind the curtain on that. The membership didn't really know what was happening until about 36 hours beforehand, if that, because they kind of knew how that would go if they had even reached the subject, especially without the vice president being included in all of this too. And yeah, it went exactly as we thought it was. It was you're going to go up there and you're going to let that man do what he does. You're going to let him, you're going to let the clown do clown things. Don't be surprised when he goes up there and fits you with a pair of clown shoes. And that's what happened. This is probably
it was a mistake to platform him.
Oh, absolutely. The thing is, it was a mistake to do it if you weren't going to put the vice president.
Hold on. You got to fix audio.
How is that beating on us to hear it?
Yeah, they're trying to stop another black journalist from explaining things.
Yo, already.
Hold on. Fix it. Let's see if we can fix it. Ryan's sending you information.
President stops journalists.
Yeah, I mean, they have to clear the airspace. That's unlimited airspace. 2 hours. Also, you know, we talked about this as we were working this out when it happened. You know, did this seem like a reasonable thing to do, to put Trump on there, knowing that he was going to lie, and you know, whether we're going to fact check him or not? So, okay, Jay, you were saying maybe platforming Trump was not the best idea.
You probably couldn't do that without putting on Vice President Harris in some form or fashion. You could not do it. And it was done in such a kind of an arrogant way, almost a dismissive way. It's like, how could you not want to have him on here? We get a chance to vet the.
Something happened again. Oh no, the audio. This better not happen when we record the drop. We don't know what's going on. Ryan says it's something with your microphone. Yeah, your audio is really tough. I have to go out and check it. A lot of technology that's way outside of my stuff.
Would this be better?
Yes, seems like it.
All right, so so at least for right now, I can switch out of these earbuds and maybe I'll go grab my other headphones, which would be a little bit more palatable. But one way I was basically saying that you can't do this without the vice president, and and you're gonna if you have him show up there, and he's gonna do what he does. He's gonna lie. He's gonna basically unload like a machine gun of lies, where it's just there are just so many rounds. You can't stop all of them. You can't catch up to all of them. But he went out there and he hung himself out to dry with the whole "she's not black" thing, playing off of some of the, unfortunately, see, the thing is, when he said it, I cringed, not just because it was stupid to say, but I had an idea where that came from, because there was that undercurrent, unfortunately, and you know, and there's an undercurrent of it in social media that people were trying to run with that for a while, that she's not black, she's Jamaican, which is still, I've heard some dumb things.
What?
I'm so hurt.
Wait, is that where this comes from?
I mean,
since when is Jamaican not black?
We could have a whole this could be there's a different show that we can have around that, and like on both sides of any immigrant that is black that comes to this country and their feelings towards like blacks born in this country, and on the flip side. But yeah, it's like I guess a few things I wanted to ask. So is for the vice president, as I know it, she was offered a virtual spot. Did they deny that?
Yes. So that's the
why
they tried to pull some sort of weight and say, nope, you've got to be here in person. And I don't think they quite understand. Like, if you've ever seen an NBA game and a player is on a heater, and Kamala Harris is Steph Curry in France right now.
Right.
You can't. You can't.
She's never gonna. I mean,
How do we not extend the grace to? How do we not extend? And maybe that goes back to what we were just like alluding to, but extending the grace to her to be like, hey, you just got in the campaign like 24 hours ago. I assume a lot is going on, and you might not be able to. And maybe I
clearly they can do this. We can do this.
I obviously could see the other flip side as well too. Is like, hey, we're an association of black journalists. We want you in person. But like, I don't know. That was very weird to me that they didn't allow her to do it virtually.
No, it was weird, and we still haven't really gotten a straight answer on that, because it was made to seem that she turned it down, but then it got out that nope, she didn't turn it down. She was willing to do it, but then they blew it off. It was weird, and I just know this: they best be thankful that this was not an election year for that board, because it would have been a clean sweep. They all would have been swept out. Normally you would see the president of NABJ and the secretaries and everybody would be all mingling, because it's one big family reunion as well as being a huge convention. It's like everything is the vibes are always the best part about that whole convention. I could count on one hand the number of times I saw any member of that board there after the day Trump showed up. Like everything the phrase "everything Trump touches dies." Well, it didn't kill in ABJ, but boy, we took heavy damage.
I also found it unique as well too, and I almost want to say I heard it wrong, but I feel like I heard it is when he made the comment that he's done more for the black population,
the blacks,
which is a unique way to call the black population. It's almost like removing people, like. But I heard collapse. I feel like I heard a few collapse, and I know we are not a monolith, but that seemed kind of crazy too.
Good God!
So there were a few of his people that got in there.
Okay.
There were a few. There were, and then it's pretty obvious to tell. Some of them had on the red hats, and some of them just had that look that some black conservatives have, or there's the dudes with high top fades that don't normally have high top fades, and the occasional brother who has the Larry Blackman from Cameo mustache. But it's like there are a few of them that.
I like that there's a uniform.
They look. I'm just saying. Take a look at how many of them you see. They kind of fit. Dare I say, they fit the description. So it's like
That's hilarious. That is hilarious. Yo. Oh my. But you have a question to ask? I gotta gather myself.
I do. But well, let's just finish this thought about
Okay.
the NABJ. Like, if we still want to join, which is now is debatable because they're platforming crazy people.
You've been platforming a man who wants to kill journalists.
Yeah, I mean,
What's crazy?
Yeah.
So what is the application process? What do we need to do to apply?
You would just go to nabj.org and you could apply to become a member as long as you're a working member of the media of some form or fashion, whether you're a host, anchor, producer, if you're an educator, that you're in.
That's it?
Yeah,
We're in.
that's it. You can be TV,
We're
radio,
going
print.
to the next one of these.
On the next, whatever the one was in Vegas, we missed that one. That was
It
the one we
doesn't
did.
matter.
Yeah,
Where
one
it
in
goes,
one in
it's gonna be
Vegas.
fun.
The ones in Vegas and New Orleans are like those are all timers. It's just like those
Exactly.
are a party the second the plane lands. It's it's.
I do wonder if we join.
Yeah.
Do I need a shirt or something that's like, nah, he's cool, or like, because I
Just
can't
come as you are, man.
around there.
Come as you are.
Well, I know in 5 seconds of talking to anybody, they'll be like, all right, it's fine. But like, it's like, but just like those guys have a look about them. I mean, you can tell I'm not black from looking at me.
This is true.
You might not be able to tell from how I sound, but you're not going to be able to tell from looking at me.
This is fair.
No.
You know,
I'd vouch for you if need be. You'd be all good, man. I've been in the last 15 of these, so there's not a problem at all.
Okay, well, that gets us to the next question, which if you're going to vouch for me, I really do need to know this. So as you mentioned, you're up for a couple of Emmy awards. How did you find out about this, and what was it like? How do you get nominated and all that?
So the way I found out, now, every year the station will always send in stuff that they think is kind of like their best work, and the station will tend to volunteer that, and they'll reach out to us usually about a month or so out on some of the stuff that we think could actually work. And the deadline for this thing was April 1st. The morning of March 26th is when I wake up to the alert that, hey,
The bridge
bridge just fell down in Baltimore. And I initially was supposed to be in Harrisburg that morning for something else. And I headed out the door. I get a message from my editor saying, hey, man, we're going to need you in studio. Do you have a suit? It's the one day I don't have a suit, so I got to turn around, run back here to come get my suit. As I pull up in the parking lot, I get a second message. All right, change of plans. How quickly can you get here? We're sending you straight to Baltimore. So that's about a 90-minute or so drive from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So I told him I could be there in 10 minutes. Thankfully, it was 3:05 a.m., so a 20-minute drive can happen in 10 minutes since there's nobody out here because it's Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So I was able to get in there. I just jump out of my car, jump in there, jump in the live truck, and we take off for Baltimore. That started a whole 3 days worth of coverage. And the deadline is April 1st. Our people chopped everything up from that first day and entered it. And then I'm sitting at this breakfast at the NABJ convention on August 1st. And I get a text message from my news director in Pennsylvania. And she just just drops a link there and says, you might want to see this. And it came out from the Emmys that day got nominated for one, and we're the only small market station out of the whole group that got nominated. Everything else are either the Philly stations or the Pittsburgh stations, and then here's Lancaster, Pennsylvania in the middle of all this. And then the newscast, that was one that we kind of thought maybe might have a chance, and it was just happened to be on a day that I went from doing a baseball story to a story of a house fire on a 25-degree day, and I was freezing, and I could barely feel my hands on the microphone. And I look up and we got nominated for that too. So I'd never actually done TV till a year ago. And now I'm sitting after 19 years in radio and been doing writing since I was 16 years old. Now I look up and I got 2 Emmy nominations, and now I got to get a suit together to go to Pittsburgh at the end of September. So it's just like,
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
That's fantastic. I mean,
That is, oh my Lord.
That is, some of that's just raw talent, right?
Some of that? I don't know, man. Because to hop about the bed and get your Emmy on is wild.
But just
to get on TV and then do that.
Some of that's raw talent, but some of that is honing those skills over all those years and getting to be like, whether it's TV or radio or print, like being a good news gathering journalist, because everybody was there covering the bridge.
The news gathering is one piece, but I think even more so an effective communicator overall, right? Because that's what it is, right? As I'm consuming that, like, all right, and obviously millions of other people
who are former print and former radio are better at explaining things than people who only do television because they're used to working without the visual. And so they have to use their words to paint that picture. That's why baseball on the radio sounds away and it doesn't sound that way on TV because they are painting a picture.
I'd agree with you.
I think that gave you a huge
I agree with that.
The wildest thing about that is I hadn't seen the video of what happened to the bridge.
Oh, you were doing it all without having ever seen it.
So I jumped in the live truck not knowing what it looked like. I didn't even know there was video. So we're driving down and I'm kind of scrolling through because I jump on Twitter. I just kind of see what people are saying because I'm trying to piece together some of this info myself. I just know bridge went down. I'm thinking, was it part of the bridge? Was it just a little bit of? Then the video pops up on Twitter. And I see the video and I ran it back like 3 times just to be sure. Cause it's like, I see that video and its first thing is like, oh shit. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is next level. So as soon as I see that bridge go down in the video, I'm writing the story, like just describing it, everything, just rattling this thing down. I just needed to see it 2 or 3 times. I shot a message back to the office like, hey, here's the link to where the video is. We need to get this on the air ASAP, and just fired it off to them. So by the time we pull up, we pulled up right there, we drove through Dundalk, pulled up right there. As soon as we pull up, we jump out of there and they're like, well, you guys want to give it maybe 5 or 7 minutes? You want to get set up? I'm like, no, we can go live now. Greg's his photographer. Greg's got the TV unit up. He's like, yeah, man, you want to go? Let's go. We're coming out of a commercial in about 45 seconds. You guys gonna be ready? Let's do it. I hopped out of there.
That's radio stuff that TV's not used to because the radio guys are ready to go like all the time.
Yeah.
I find it just incredible to because the video is I remember that night seeing I was up and I remember getting the alert.
I got an alert.
I got an alert. Me up, and I was I
nudged my wife. I was like, yo, the key bridge is gone. And she's like, what are you talking about?
The video was jarring. I don't know how wouldn't have words to be able to explain that. Because as a human, I drive over bridges all the time, right? and as a person in America, I don't expect the bridges to be falling even when they get hit by stuff. But
and we've driven over that bridge.
Yeah, that bridge
a lot.
And you kind of put yourself, unfortunately, and it's a very selfish thought, but you put yourself in that. I drive over these bridges all the time. Yo, was anybody on that? You find out those 6.
The first thought I had was like, oh God, who was on the bridge?
And you've driven over the bridges too. You know those workers on the bridge at night. You know that if you've driven at night, you've seen that. And that's all that went through my mind at night. So to be able to go on and again, communicate what has happened to the masses is just an incredible skill.
Together while you're doing it and not get freaked out by all of it because I couldn't. I was freaking out.
Exactly.
Right? And I was thinking about it, and then I heard the audio of the cops working out how to stop the bridge, and the one guy said, all right, I got everything this direction shut off, but I can't get to the other side because the bridge is gone. And the dispatch is like, what do you mean the bridge is gone? And how many lives those folks saved by stopping the traffic on
that could have been next level tragedy.
Oh my God.
If just the cops don't get there, because even though it's 1:30 in the morning, people are rolling up and down that bridge. And it's
95 doesn't stop. And the loop around the outer loop around Baltimore to avoid the tunnels for all the hazmats is the only way around. If you are northbound with a hazmat truck and you get to the junction at 695 or to continue through to go through the Fort McHenry tunnel, you can't go through Fort McHenry or Harbor Tunnel. You have to go around. And that is that is the only way to go. And the corridor doesn't stop. 95 doesn't stop. So the fact that it didn't turn into some major catastrophe of hundreds of lives, a truck going over the thing and blowing up.
Anything hazmat issues, depending on what's on one of those things. So those are all the things that are running through our head while this is happening. So we're scrambling stories together. Those are my favorite kind, by the way. As you said, it was the radio thing. Yeah, I'm an old play-by-play guy. I love calling what I see. I like it when all I know is the basics, and then we can start to piece this thing together like you're investigating. And then it's now, okay, so this happened here, this happened here. Well, who's hearing this? Well, let's make these calls here. We got an editor back in at the office making these calls here. Okay, we got this information. Oh, well, look, there's Wes Moore. Let me just go talk to Wes Moore and find out what's going on.
Future President Wes Moore. You got to spell his name properly.
Hold on,
Did you watch that speech last
hold
night?
on, that makes you. I have a whole. This is already down. I have
Okay, all right.
some rapid fire when we get there.
All right,
Hold on, yeah.
I will say this: it's like if you remember when Wes Moore did that press conference that morning,
Yeah.
and he started talking about when you hear about the Key Bridge going down, the answer to that. That was the question that I asked him. That was me asking him that question.
That was you.
Wow.
That was me. So it's like when he goes into that long thing about what he thought when the Key Bridge went down. That's the first thing. I'm like, just give me a real answer. I don't want no campaign sounding or by the book. Like, bro, you were in bed at 1:30 in the morning and you get a message saying, oh, by the way, the one of the biggest thoroughfares in Baltimore just got taken down by a giant barge. What's happening? That's where my mind goes in stories like that. So what I did that morning was that we set the table for the coverage, and it gave our afternoon crew enough time to get down the highway there to tag in at 12:30 when I was done. Then the midday, then the dayside crew tags out to our nighttime crew. We rotate back around the next morning. I was right back down there again, doing it a second time. And it was for me, this is the stuff I enjoy. If I'm not getting to cover sports, which had the Ravens made the Super Bowl last year, for example, I would have been in Las Vegas. So if I don't get to cover sports too often, but big stories like that, where you get to piece things together and tell something. Yeah, man. It
uses that play-by-play thing. You can hear it like, okay, this is where bias comes in. And if you're looking at Tez's face and like, what's going on, it's because he didn't know that Adam Kinzinger was going to be speaking at the convention tonight. You should read ahead. You can look and see that.
I didn't see that. I didn't know. I did not know that one. I did not know. There's a lot of people
speaking. This has been the former Republican convention.
I know that. Yes, I did not know that he was doing that. It was very surprising. Very jarring. I said, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. So like, one of the things that I always tune to the radio, right? When something is happening, because radio is always faster.
Yes.
So I turn on, and if you're in DC, everyone turns to WTOP. That's where we all go, right? So you turn in WTOP and you listen, and they do this thing where they say, okay, this is the situation. And then they'll go, moments ago we told you this, but we have new information.
Yeah.
And they're rebuilding the story each iteration. How do you do that when something is moving that fast and it's happening around you where you're at?
It's like calling a football or a basketball game. Like right now, it's like we're in I'll just use like the example of the third quarter of a game and say it's the Ravens and the Bills, and the Ravens are up 17-10. But here's but they're up 17-10 midway through the third quarter. We pick things up here, and you have to it's one long thread, and knowing what happened, you just keep rattling back what happened, and if something new goes in there, you just add it, another link in the chain. And we just kind of go till we get a commercial break, or we switch out and we get a breather. And as we switch out, that gives me a chance to reset. I'm starting to write everything down again. It's just one long chain, but it's you basically take the first thing and that's your base, and you just build off of it. So if nothing else, I could always go right back to the reason we're here right now is because at 1:38 a.m., a barge from India hit one of the retaining poles on the Key Bridge. The bridge collapsed immediately. There were 6 people and then boom, 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 and come right on back to it.
See, journalism.
Journalism is real. It's really the most basic thing in the world. It's something that a ninth grader could do if they pay attention to it.
That's real.
I don't want to reduce the entire profession to this thing, but one of my favorite lines in Futurama, when all the people lost their brains, is they had the news came on, and the news anchor lady goes, some stuff happened today. Want to hear about it? And that was it. That's what news is.
That is true.
At its most basic, it is. It's just how you tell the story, basically. Because there's a way you can tell that story and it says nothing, and then there's a way you can tell that story and it says everything. And that's the whole thing. I tell stories on television the way I did on radio. It's just now I got pictures. Now I can actually really have some fun with it. But I'll be descriptive in case you're looking away from the screen, you're not paying attention. Here's what happened. I just know I'm still blown away by the whole thing, because I joked about one of these days I'm gonna get an Emmy. I worked at the last station I worked at. One of my coworkers, she had worked on TV the night I won those 2 Murrows for what we were doing on the radio for the riots. she was on television and she won an Emmy for her coverage of it. And the Emmy arrived at the station. Rather, they sent it to our station instead of her old TV station. So she pulls that thing out and puts it right on her desk, right, and her desk is right behind mine.
Oh,
and
Lord.
You know that picture of Russell Westbrook when Kevin Durant won the MVP, and then
Yeah.
Westbrook kind of eyeball, and I'm like, that was me looking at her Emmy as it's sitting there on the desk, and she kind of looks at me and she kind of smiles. She's like, I see you kind of looking at it. Well, yeah, I thought maybe one of these. I just think it's so cool that you got that, and she just deadpans. Well, that's my 7th one, but at least I'm gonna have it. 7th one on her last night in TV after 22 years. So that's the thing to get one of these or even get nominated for one of them, let alone the opportunity to win 2, is like, come on, man. What are we doing? I'm just dude from Detroit out here.
Your acceptance speech yet?
Honestly, I don't. Since it's a team thing, I don't know since I technically don't have the seniority because I'm the rookie, even though I'm literally old enough to be the father of 2 of my coworkers. It's the weirdest thing, but I don't know if I'll get to speak. But if I do, I've got a couple ideas. I'll be very, very thankful to the people at the station who brought me in. And me, I'll probably get a shot. I'll get a shot off on a couple of people who might have had a little something to say. I keep it classy for the most part. I save the not so classy part for TikTok and Instagram, but it's like, I'll try to keep it classy as possible.
Okay, so since you said that, and I'll go to my second question after this, but like, how are we feeling about, I guess, I don't even know the best way to put this, but I guess the memifying of the election? It almost seems at this point now that, like, I don't know if policy is really like, I don't know if I can affect people with policy at all, right?
It's vibes.
It's vibes. It's vibes. And maybe I tie that into my second question. Don't be ridiculous because it seems to work.
I get it.
It matters. And then, like, the second part of this is, like, I guess, what are the vibes of the Pennsylvania voters?
Great question.
So here's the thing about that, and it's the vibes are out of control already, and the whole energy has kind of changed around this thing because in the part of Pennsylvania I'm in now, a lot redder than Philadelphia, and the Red Hatters had been pretty chesty and pretty loud for a pretty long time, and after the debate, it was almost treated like it was an inevitability. So when Biden actually drops out, and that afternoon I was actually working on a story. It was the rare Sunday that I was not off in the afternoon. I was working on a story, and we were in the middle of it, and the photographer walks up to me and he just said, "Bro, watch him drop out right before we get out of here." So of course, we're wrapping up the piece. We've done the recording. I'm tracking it in the truck, and then Buzz comes in. So yeah, Biden's out of the race. And as soon as he got out of the race, it's like once it became clear it was going to be the vice president who took a spot, it's like these people out here probably could tell that the vibe just changed because it was like a lightning bolt. Just hit Philadelphia, shot across the turnpike to Pittsburgh, and hit everybody in between here. Because now the Harris signs are starting to show up more.
Oh, I bet.
People are no longer afraid to kind of let it hang that they're blue, that they're Democratic, like Josh Shapiro, because we had to chase him around for 2 weeks because we didn't know if he was going to be the running mate or not. He held a rally in Cumberland County, Pennsylvania, where like Trump won by like 17, 18 points or whatever. They had 2,000 people outside of a barn on a Saturday afternoon in 90-degree weather.
Hey, don't discount the power of Jewish Obama. He gets done.
We get that.
Crazy. I know. He told me that the other night, and I just laughed. I was like, "That was it." I was like, I can't unhear it.
Once you hear it,
I mean, it's
you
not
don't
wrong.
have to even look at him. You can't
It's
unhear it.
I can't unhear it.
You're not wrong though. You're not wrong. That's the only thing is that he does really sound like him, which is kind of crazy. And we were following him around, but wherever they go, it's big. It's big. I went back to Philly for a couple of days last week. It's the buzz. The buzz is back. I've heard from my friends in Pittsburgh, same thing. The buzz is back. I'm hearing from Detroit that the fire is showing up. DC is suddenly back up. Obviously, New York is. Chicago's
Georgia, North
Carolina, Atlanta's back. Like it's like these things are now, everything is right back to kind of like the fever pitch it was. And when the memification, the calling them weird, the needling them, it's like the Democrats have finally seemingly gotten kind of the idea that you can't just be nice.
Right.
I've been saying this. We needed somebody like Tim Walz to go out there and call that guy a couch fucker to his face.
Oh, God damn it. Stop this.
And now,
that's
you know who called him a couch fucker
Stop
tonight?
it.
Woman called JD Vance a couch fucker.
This is a joke that's like, just listening about this on 1A about how this is around me. I get it. It's definitely the same, but it's it's a joke. Let's just clarify that has not been.
Can't prove it isn't.
I don't look. When you talk about fit the description, I get it, man. Okay, yeah, he does. Yeah, man. Look, anyways,
he looks like a couch fucker.
All right, hold on. A couple of like rapid fire I have as well. The governor of New York, Kathy Hochul.
Yeah, little iffy.
Just rapid fire. What do we think? What do, like?
Kathy Hochul. Yeah, she reminds me of like a high schoal principal, and not like a fun high school principal, but like the kind of annoying high school principal. And like, I know New York, obviously they had to get away from Cuomo, but
right,
come on.
And Patterson, and like they had a string of bad dudes.
I thought I was
this
being,
was the palate cleanser.
Yeah, but I thought when watching her speech, I thought I was being mean because I was like, man, what the hell going on?
No,
why this boring as hell? And then I see everything. I was like, oh wow, okay. Then I started feeling bad. I was like, well, she's trying her best when she's
tried her best.
I felt bad afterwards. I was in my house like, this is so. I'm glad it's the first night.
Sometimes it's a little surprising because you see people who are good executives of companies or other things, and they're just bad speakers. She's just a bad speaker. I mean, she's good at running a government.
Everybody can't be Josh Shapiro or Gretchen Whitmer. Occasionally, you're gonna have to be a Kathy Hochul, and it's like that's where she is. She gives off big high school principal vibes, and not the fun kind. The high school principal who's like roaming around and ready to throw anybody into detention type of vibes.
Oh, yeah, that was mine.
Okay, all right. Here's another just rapid fire. Wes Moore.
Oh yeah,
I like that guy. I like that guy a lot. From just how he handled everything in Baltimore, the energy that he has. It's like he's a really good dude, but he takes no shit from nobody. And that's the kind of guy it is. I mean, it looked a little weird when he puts on the whole University of Maryland football gear, but the funny thing is, I see him as like I can totally
he
believe
can ball a little bit. You see him throwing
I
the ball.
can totally believe he plays pro football, like because he looks like, and he's a big guy. I was kind of surprised when I saw him. He's like, he's a big dude, and he's served in the military. He's the guy who probably if not 20, hopefully not 28. Hopefully we're talking about a second here, but 32, for example, after 8 years, that's a brother that I could see making a lot of inroads out of Maryland, because I know they love him down there the way that Shapiro is loved here in Pennsylvania.
So Wes Moore has like future president written all over it, right?
Oh,
he's built for this. He's got the 1,000-watt smile. He's got the military background. He's got the executive.
Man came out talking about Frederick Douglass. I was like, yes.
But he also has that great communicator.
Yeah, he is a great communicator.
The thing that makes presidents who are, apart from the one, even W in his struggle to manage the English language, was still able to be a great communicator.
It's folksy enough.
It's somebody who can take, what do they used to call Clinton, the explainer in chief, right?
Yeah.
Wes Moore's got that. He has everything lined up. All he's got to do is stay scandal free and don't make any serious mistakes, and he is on a glide path. But like you mentioned, Shapiro's on a similar path. Whitmer's on a bit of that same path too. So the bench is strong.
I think that could be a whole different segment.
I love seeing that.
It did feel like,
if you asked me 4 years ago, I was like, well, we got no bench.
And how does most, like, if you go back to sports, like most teams that are successful have depth. That's how it works there.
We were like, oh, we got Stacey Abrams. And we're like, well, what else? And we're like,
that's all we got, man. That's all we got.
I was going to say, and you haven't really heard her name anymore.
I think G's moving silence like lasagna.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah. All right, another rapid fire. Dan Campbell.
Oh, my guy.
Bring it back. It's some fun.
That's my guy. So there very few times in my life where I'm going to openly admit that I was wrong. and I was watching that introductory press conference live.
Yeah. Oh,
When
God.
he comes in there that day, we had it. I had it up on the screen. I was still in Philly at the time, in my newsroom, and I had it on. And my producer, who's this massive Eagle fan, he comes over me and just kind of looks at the video, and he just says to me, "Bro, I'm sorry."
Oh, wow.
When he heard the kneecaps and everything, I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry." And then, but I couldn't have been more wrong about that guy. And I couldn't be happier to say that I was wrong about somebody. That dude's he's gonna mess around and get a statue outside of Ford Field.
Wow.
That guy is he is a man. Like if he can get them to a Super Bowl, as they should have gotten there.
Yeah.
If they get to a Super Bowl, he'll then join. He'll go on the Chuck Daly, Sparky Anderson, the Scotty Bowman, that whole like of leaders. Like putting him in that category. I mean, I say a lot about him, but guys like Shem Beckler, like the Tom Izzos, like these guys in the state of Michigan who are untouchable. Like Dan Campbell's almost untouchable now, but it's like that guy. He's crazy. He's crazy. He's a good guy. He's also
crazy. Have you heard his coffee order?
Yeah, it's insane.
It's more caffeine than could kill several rhinos.
It's more than Panera lemonade.
Yes.
He basically just drink. He'll just walk up to a gas tank and just straight up just pull the gas tank off and just go for that. Like he'll just take it straight. He takes it straight too. Just like I don't know what really is in his DNA. It's probably something along the line of a rhinoceros and maybe some sort of space alien. And but he's this massive, what you would think is a meathead, but he's also an incredibly introspective, really sensitive dude. But he'll also rip off your head because as he put it, it's like, I don't care if you've got one ass cheek or three toes, and I'm gonna kick crazy. Like, people fell in love with that, and to see how they turned that over after that 3-13 the first year, they're 1-6, and then the light bulb goes on, and I haven't seen anything like this. They got the lines on the cover of Sports Illustrated talking about going to win the Super Bowl. It's like I don't know what to do with this. It's like I'm afraid to even post that thing because I'm going to jinx him. I can't touch that. I'm not touching that with him from a mile away.
It's like I know this isn't exactly the same comparison, but when the Jets made the AFC Championship twice in a row with Sanchez,
right?
And my wife and my dad, who are both lifelong Jets fans.
He's in lore. It's over. People saw him as one of the greats.
They looked around confused. They didn't understand what was happening to see that many W's next to the word Jets. They literally didn't know how to handle that kind of success. And I feel like the good people of Detroit, of which I have tremendous affection, of course, they really might not know how to handle that level of success. How are you guys coping with this?
I will say this. So I wasn't like the biggest football fan in the world until I was like 9 or 10 years old. My first year following the Lions was Barry Sanders' rookie year in 1989. So that's when I got on the bus. When Barry was day one. I didn't know about the Billy Sims, and I vaguely remember 83 losing in San Francisco and all that. It was all Barry, boom. So 2 years in, they go 12-4. So I'm not used to this. I'm thinking, okay, this is what we do. I remember telling my mother at 13 years old, well, see, this is different now. I didn't understand why my mother was crying when they won that playoff game in 1991 because she hadn't seen them win one since she was a teenager in 1957. So she didn't really, for me, it's like, this is different now. And I said to her, like, well, yeah, they're going to win all sorts of playoff games. They're going to Washington next week. They at least got a shot at this. No, they didn't. That 91 Washington team was absurd. And they got run over. And I'm still thinking, okay, this is what we're going to get. They won 12 games. Now, the next year they go 5-11, but they win 10. 2 years later, get the division, and then Brett Favre happens in the playoffs. And the Sterling Sharp is still loose. And then they go 30 years without winning a playoff game. So when they don't win a playoff game for 30 years and they got to go through the guy that I despise the most in a Lion uniform, Matthew Stafford, to get that playoff. And my mother, and this is a true story, Christmas 91, there was a set of glasses, a couple of beer glasses and a couple of shot glasses that had the old Detroit Lion logo on them. I got them as a Christmas gift. After they won that playoff game in 91, I had a Faygo. My mother actually had a straight up drink out of the thing and said, every time they win a playoff game, we will toast and have one of these. So needless to say, that was January of 92. the only time I even was able to take the thing out of the cabinet for a second was 2014 in Dallas, and then they blow that one, and I angrily have to put the glass back. So when St. Brown gets the first down at the end of the playoff game, I can finally walk in there and grab that glass after 32 years. And I sat it down, popped one, and went on FaceTime with my mom, and she had the other one. And there might have been somebody cutting onions in another room or something when that happened. But it's like, okay, now I get it now. I totally get it now. And then they win the next week. It's like, okay, now I'm gonna start picking out drinks for this thing. Because now I'm starting to get used to this. This is kind of fun. I was calling friends of mine. I was calling my friends in Philadelphia. It's like, is this what this is like?
This is what this is like?
It's like y'all win multiple playoff games in a year. Is this what y'all do now? Is this how
we have no idea?
No idea. I mean, also too, I would find it crazy to be a Detroit fan that y'all made two of the greatest players ever quit.
Yeah,
Barry and Calvin. And
they left. They said, no.
They didn't go.
They said no.
They were like, this is enough football.
This is enough football.
And now they're both back in the
players of our positions in generations, and that is enough football.
And they both left in their primes, and now they're both like as ambassadors for the team. I guess Calvin's going to get his number retired this year, and it's like they're doing all this cool stuff. Now it's like the rest of the city is finally starting to understand that Matthew Stafford was a bit of a jerk off, and they're finally figuring out like, oh yeah, you didn't really like Detroit that much. You didn't really care much for you guys either. It's just that now you're finally starting to see what I was telling you for 10 years. But I don't know how we'll handle it. And God willing, they get to the Super Bowl this year after 24/7. And I was putting my whole suit because I had to anchor the next morning. So I had a whole suit with 24/7. I walked in my closet, grabbed the suit, all blue, silver and blue tie. I had everything together. I had the Detroit Lion lapel pin ready to go. I had the hat together. I was going to put the Jameson Williams jersey underneath the suit and then just straight do that. And I don't care if there were some Raven fans in that office because they were not too happy about what happened to the Ravens. I didn't care. I wouldn't have cared. At 24/7 is like, all I need to just know what the final score is going to be. But they probably need to score at least one more touchdown. And so I had to switch to the black suit that I wore that next morning instead. And of course, my producers being who they are, because my producer was also a very bitter Raven fan when it came to the sports segment in the first hour of the newscast. The first thing I see is NFC Championship game and just my name next to it, meaning I'm the one who's reading it.
That's ruthless, yo.
That's dirty. He did be dirty, but I also laughed about it because he also put the AFC Championship game there, and I made sure I leaned in and put all of Mahomes' stats, and that I changed the whole script for all of them in there. I go, and by the way, in the AFC Championship game, Patrick Mahomes just started rattling them all.
Lit up the Baltimore Ravens.
It's Jordan. It is Jordan. So, when it comes to football, I want to see one last thing. NBA on NBC.
Love it. I hate
it's already back. It's a new version.
Because Fox was using it.
It's a new version.
They were using it for the college games. I was like, that can't be right.
Tesh has already said he's giving the whole thing back to NBC now. It's all theirs. I hate the TNT is losing it.
Yes,
but I love that. It's ideally it would have been NBC, TNT. If they want to do something with Amazon, do it. And just grab Mike Breen and put him on NBC and just bring the whole thing together. But I love that it's going to be back on NBC. We have to wait till next season, but I love it's going to be back on NBC. And maybe by then, Pistons will actually be respectable. They might actually win 28 games instead of 14. It's like
crazy things that we don't mean.
I'm trying not to get too silly here. I'm still tied to the 76ers because of all that time I spent in Philly. So who knows? Maybe they can finally get to the conference finals with Embiid and.
Oh yeah.
They have a better chance of the Pistons or the Bullets. So breaking news. Brian's got breaking news. Is it Kamala's on stage?
Yes,
she just walked out
to the stage, ladies and gentlemen.
We were guessing based on the previous nights that she would be on stage about the time we get off the air, but that doesn't.
I know, God,
nobody pay attention to the convention. You can go watch that later. What we need to do now, before we let Jay go to watch the convention, because of course he has to do real news things, is as you heard at the top of the segment. Jay's been the voice of our news segment for years now.
Yeah.
And we need to record a new version of this because there's some updates, of course.
Yeah.
So Jay, I sent you some copy. I don't know if you got it there.
You see, I'm looking it up right here to make sure I did. And here, there it is, right there. Boom, there it is.
Okay, now you can of course add what you want in AdLib and make it great. But so before we have you record that and sign off, just tell everybody where they can watch you and get your stuff when you write things and all of those kind of good things.
So for right now, I am on WGAL. It's WGAL.com. That's the WGAL Channel 8 in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. You can stream us live on there or on the WGAL app. I actually anchor on Saturday and Sunday mornings, so you'd see me just right there, front and center. Weekday mornings, at least Monday through Wednesday. I'm also one of the morning reporters. Sometimes I'm anchoring. You might see me at 12 noon doing the midday news sometimes too. So I'm doing that. I'm still right there on Instagram, Real J Scott Smith. That's JAYSCO, 2 T's SMITH, Real J Scott Smith. J Scott Smith on Twitter, because her mama named him Twitter. I'm gonna call him Twitter.
That's right.
This not gonna happen. Ain't no X out here. So it's still J Scott Smith on Twitter, Real J Scott Smith on Instagram. If you're on the threads, it's the same thing, Real J Scott Smith. And just to have them come say hi to me. I'm out here. I'm still rolling around. And who knows? You never know when the podcast will find its way back out there too, because it's not dead. It's simply sitting on hiatus for right now. So
we understand.
Radio is always going to be kind of in the background too.
All right. So now, without further ado, we're gonna let you read the new version of this, and then we're gonna take a break and recharge our flagons and take a look at future President Harris and whatever she's up to. I wrote this. Whatever she's about to say, I wrote it. So you can just
shut up. Shut up.
What Jay's about to say, I wrote too. All right.
Let's
take it away, Jay.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. From Beltway Radio and beyond in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy nominated. Let me do that again.
Okay.
Do not keep that.
We won't keep that.
It's all right.
3, 2, 1. From Beltway Radio and beyond in Washington, D.C., I'm Emmy-nominated TV newsman and just bona fide sexual beast, J. Scott Smith. And this is the part of the show where I tell some stuff about well, maybe not me, but somebody else is going to tell some stuff about what's happening in the news. So what's going on in the news, fellas?
There you go.
Yo,
love that. Love that. Thank you, Jay. We appreciate that. All right, it's late. You've got to go do TV news things. We've got to go check on some things and take a break. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond. Thanks, Jay.
Appreciate you, fellas.
The truth is left in the ruins, buried us in the lies. We walk in silence till morning. We can't hide, cannot hide. The truth is left in the ruins, buried us in the lies. We walk in silence till morning. We can't hide, cannot hide. We walk in silence till morning. We can't hide, cannot hide. The truth is left in the ruins, buried us in the lies. We walk in silence till morning. We can't hide, cannot hide. The truth is left in the ruins, buried us in the lies. We walk in silence till morning. We can't hide.
Welcome back to the ChipChat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Ted.
What's poppin', y'all?
Shout out to J. Scott
God
Smith.
gracious,
What
man.
a
He's just
brilliant guy, and we're very grateful that he's willing to hang out with the likes of us.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna apply to NABJ.
Yeah, you know, he is the one. He, back when it was a little more difficult, he's the one that got me a Blue Sky invite.
Right. Yeah. So shout out to Jay for helping with the Flamin' Liberal.
Yeah, exactly. You know me.
It's working out.
Yeah.
How's Daddy Bucks?
Daddy Bucks just going on. We like got 5 today.
Okay.
Yeah, but now I gotta readjust the interest rates and whatnot because it's like because now you figured out
a little too much.
Yeah, you figured out like that reading the same book. We have to change the prices on certain goods.
Yeah.
That's really what it comes down to.
Goddamn inflation.
Yeah, exactly.
You need a market. You've got a market of one.
Because I'm like, all right. If she's realized, because you read a book a few times, you understand. You're like, all right, I'm gonna breeze through this.
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's like when they let me take keyboarding a second time in school. Like, well, that's a free A.
Free A. So it's like, and I've already committed to the prices. So it is what it is. I'm not just you don't want to shock the market or anything like that.
Right.
We'll keep up. All right. Read the same book again, flawlessly. There you go. There's the $5. But yeah, no. Or what I'm going to do is go get new books.
I think you should.
Yeah, and we hide the other books so you can't use those anymore. Those are in retirement. You know, I don't know what to call those. I have to figure out something for that.
Book emeritus.
Yeah, right. The books that we take out, but that still have a huge impact on what the fuck is going on.
But this is right. Yeah, they're called Pelosi books.
Yeah, Pelosi books.
I feel like
shout out to her.
This is gonna. Yeah, she had an okay speech though. I feel like she.
I ain't here looking. I'm not here for a speech.
No, I know. I
I'm here for.
That. She's here for winning. Yes, I get it.
You know, my fellow Italian.
I worry about your market distortions here. You know, you really got to let the market work. You can't go putting your thumb on the scales.
But being a parent isn't the democracy. It's communism.
It's his free market. Though. I don't care if it's not communism. You're playing games in the market. That's a planned economy. It's not necessarily communist.
Well, I mean, look, I'm just saying there is one.
Does she have as equal a vote as yours?
No.
Then it's not communism.
I guess that's fair. It's true.
It's just
a dictatorship.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Okay, yeah. But we like to cosplay with that it's fair.
So speaking of dictatorships, let's talk about Trayon White. So as we mentioned, the 13-member DC Council contains one member named Trayon White, who represents Ward 8, which is the least economically powerful ward in the city. It is. It
might be coming up on 10 years. He's been there.
I think he's been there a long time.
Yeah.
He's sitting in the seat that has been occupied by some of the greats.
Yeah.
Right, including Barry. This was Barry's seat. And so there's a legacy there.
Yeah.
Okay. Trayon White, until this instance where he was arrested by the FBI, which we'll talk about sort of details of that in a minute, basically was famous for 2 things prior to this. One is a very good, laudable thing, which is being really in his community.
Yeah. If
anything happened,
he was there.
He was there. And some people said that this is, him being a bit of a publicity hound or whatever, but I never read it that way. I always read
who else was like going to these? I mean, and like that's what the council members are supposed to do.
That's what they're supposed to do. And so what Trayon is pretty well known for is whenever there's a victim of gun violence, he's there.
Right. To
comfort the family and to provide city services and marshal resources wherever necessary. And I don't think there's anybody who can say he isn't great at that.
No. And I don't know, even like just around events that's happening in the community, I don't know if there's a few council members who I do think do that, but not everyone does that.
He doesn't just show up to the bad things. He shows up to all the good things too.
Exactly, yeah.
So Trayon is well connected to his community.
And beloved for it.
Because he, like Barry, he delivers for his people. However, in the council, he's sort of a lightweight. I mean, he doesn't really introduce any legislation that has any chance of passing. It's either like some sort of ridiculous show piece or he's signing on to something that I
have personally, I believe, watched and I need to go back to figure out what, but I've watched something like, again, introduced over a time, and then like the chair saying that, this is like there's already something in place that kind
Right.
of does that. So
Yeah, and to be fair, like the DC Council isn't a major legislative body.
yeah, exactly.
I think,
Like, come on, yeah.
I
Right.
think it's fair to call it mostly a negotiation body because
There's one boss.
but there's also not a lot of opposition, right? If
Yeah,
somebody
again.
raises something, the differences are more in the details than it is to like, oh no, I don't want to let that happen at
Right.
all. So anyway, so that's him like legislatively and community service wise. The other thing that Trayon White was kind of known for prior to this was his weird comment about Jewish people controlling the weather, which he posted on Instagram during a snowstorm, which didn't seem like there was any need to do that.
And it's one of these things, especially like if you guys look back on previous episodes of Chip Chat, one of the books I had up here was Blacks and Jews in America. And like it's one of these things, especially reading that, and also just like growing up Black in DC and being in like barbershops and hearing these again crazy anti-Semitic tropes, pick whatever, like that are said over and over again. And it's just like, you know, I understand. Because I obviously there would be empathy that I understand from our Jewish brothers and sisters. We're like, come on, y'all. Like, what the fuck?
Why are you picking on us?
Like, yeah, I
We're on the same side of this.
Yeah, I understand that piece. I think and I'm not like obviously waving the flag like for all Black folks, but I would assume some of us are like, yo, these things get said, and as Black folks, we should address those and be like, that's not true. And also, why do you? How come you've gotten to, like asking more deeper questions? Why did you get here for that? But also, too, I think for us, we just don't want to be included with the same people in Charlottesville with the goddamn with the tiki torches as the same thing, because I think that like where there's essence of the same, like they do come from the exact same place. Like as Black folk, I don't ever think there's never going to be a chance where we ain't never about to come and try to do no crazy shit and round like we know who's done that, and like our power don't stretch like that. Our power doesn't stretch. The only thing we should be again, a lot of us ran over there in World War II as well too, and fought for that as well too. And I think that for a lot of Black folks, like yo, that's where we kind of want to be aligned with this shit. Folks in our part, like at our side of the shit, there's a lot of wild shit, and it's like, God damn it, please, what the fuck is going on?
To be fair, you know, like it's not that Jewish people are immune from racism. You
right,
hear
exactly,
all kinds
yeah.
of racist, anti-Black stuff in Jewish communities too. So like both of these groups, which mostly align on most everything,
exactly,
have these weird things that they say about each other, which should not be said.
And we're like, God damn it!
And it's our own job to like police ourselves.
Exactly,
right?
like, hey, yo, that's not true. And why do you feel that way?
And as a general rule, this goes for both communities, really all communities, as we've mentioned on the show before. If the thing you just said or the thing you're thinking about saying is also a thing that the Klan says, don't say that thing. That's how you know it's not good. It's not a hard.
It's not hard. I don't think it's hard.
Not a high bar to clear, but that's
so tired of having this conversation because we should be moving forward to do other things.
Be moving forward.
We're always here.
Okay.
Anyways, but
so
back to this.
The background on Trayon, and he apologized.
Yeah.
He went to the Holocaust Museum and stuff. He's slipped into this a few more times since then, but to benefit of the doubt, I don't think he knows any better because I mean, how could he?
Yeah,
right. This is the world he's raised in.
Exactly. It's a trope that's been going on for a long friggin' time. And it just doesn't make sense. Also, too, it doesn't make. Anyways, I'm sorry.
We got to fix that, but we're gonna fix that later.
Yeah. Symposium coming soon.
That's right. Join us for the Chip Chat Symposium, hosted by Senators John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock.
Yeah, we're gonna get
and Jay will moderate.
Yeah, we'll get Michael Eric Dyson in there, and then we'll get who else we do. There's a lot of people we can like.
We're pretty legitimate news people at this point.
I think we can do this eventually.
We can have it like Meet the Press. Okay, so that's the background. What happened this week is that Trayon was arrested by the FBI for bribery charges, as it turns out. Now, something that people might not know about the District of Columbia is that it's a federal jurisdiction all the time.
Everything, the time.
So even the most minor offenses, whether it's like a traffic thing or whatever, that's going into federal court no matter what, right? It's all federal court. And so the federal entities, whether it's the FBI or otherwise, they have a sort of outsized responsibility in the district to manage things. And certainly when it comes to stuff that is possibly connected to district government crime, whether it's corruption or otherwise, generally gets sniffed out by the feds and not by MPD and not by the council or any of that kind of stuff. It's pretty rare that you hear that the MPD made an arrest of a DC government official. It's almost always some federal agency.
Always. It's always that.
So in any case, the FBI arrested Trayon White in a building where he lives in his bathrobe. He doesn't just live in his bathrobe, but he was arrested in his bathrobe in a building that he lives that is not in his ward, which is a whole nother thing for a guy who is well known for being so connected to his community that he's living outside of the bounds of that community is iffy. That's not great. And they arrested him and charged him with taking $156,000 worth of bribes. A bunch of it they've got on video.
I think it's roughly probably the salary he makes.
Yeah, it's just about
right. A little, maybe a little less. Just
a little less. They've got him on. It's a 37-page complaint, right? That's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. They've got him on video. They've got sworn affidavits from the folks who basically turn state's evidence.
Right, for a complete, which the timeline of this is insane.
In a minute. But it's not the kind of bribery charges that we're sort of used to hearing where somebody gets hired for a no-show job in order to advance legislation on such and such and blah, blah, blah. It's sort of more the here's a sack of cash.
Like, we're still doing that? It's like the Menendez stuff.
Yeah, it's like Matt Gaetz getting caught for using Venmo for a thing. Like, why are you doing this in a way that's traceable or public or come on, guy?
That's a terrible conversation to have, but I've had it with a few folks. It's like
crime better.
Yeah, right. I'm just like, because also, as I think is evident, being in political power affords you a variety of different things. And I do think there is a way, let's just say let's say I was running shop over there, whatever, whether it's speaking engagements, there's a way that you can, garner more funds outside of your salary.
Yes.
By doing it, there's a way to do it. And that's
books.
There's a frustration for me there that it's like, hey, where are the advisors? Where are people to guide? And there should be some type of guidance around this
Sam
stuff.
Alito and neighbor Clarence are out here getting millions of dollars worth of free stuff. And nobody's calling that bribery because of the way that they did it.
Yeah. There's an avenue to do this. And the avenue you took was stupid.
You want to be corrupt, you can do it.
And again, I sound crazy saying that, but I think that's the facts of the matter.
That is.
It just is. If you want to do this, it could be it could have been done a different way. What I said, I got this information that it had happened real fast. And I was like, oh, okay. And I think for me, the first thing is that, as we alluded to and spoke to in the beginning of this segment, he represents a specific segment of the city that's voice is not really heard
at all.
And I think some of that is changing as well, too. I do wonder it's changing as well, too, because some of the demographics are going back to how some of that Ward 8 used to look. And again, look through the history books of people, look at the houses that run along from Branch Avenue going down, they look that way for a reason.
It's getting wider.
Yeah, right. And I just wish that almost it wasn't him, because it puts this again, and I think a lot of the statements from the council, from the mayor said that there's a distrust that happens, right? There becomes this distrust. And I also think what's going to happen, because of the good and the positive that he's brought to that ward, his folks ride for him, and it'll get to a point as well, too, where they'll look at this and be like, yo, we don't care. It doesn't matter. And again, possibly even introducing excuses for something that this is
cut and dry.
It's cut and dry. I mean, because we're criming in a stupid way.
Yes,
it's a very stupid way.
There's several like really tangentially related but bad aspects to this. Let's get the statement from Mayor Bowser, who said that I'm sure the constituents across the city, especially in Ward 8, are disappointed. She said people need representation. They need people that go down to the Wilson building and put them first, fight for them. And I know I speak for them in my disappointment about this. This is the sound of an older sister saying, I wish my little brother had been a little smarter.
Yeah.
Because the people,
because she understands what this is on the bigger scale.
Yes, she gets this. And I think we're all looking at this and saying a lot of the same things. Number one, the people of Ward 8 deserve a voice. Whether it's Trayon White or otherwise, they deserve the voice that they're entitled to as constituents of the city.
The trash might still not get picked up.
Right.
Like, again, with the rodents might still be running around, which is rampant through still the city at this point. And again, just being completely transparent, if there ends up being any type of violence that ends up happening there, we still want people that need to kind of go and show up and support the community and give support. Right. And granted, I think that community as well, too. There's a lot of people in that community that help do that. So I don't think there's a complete void, but I do think now
none
the
of them
council member
can make a call and bring the city services there
immediately.
Like yes.
Yeah.
So the people of Ward 8 are victims of this.
Yeah.
For sure. You know, the other thing, let's just put this out there, because this is the thing that we all really want to talk about but don't want to talk about, is that here is another example of a black politician of a black city getting caught doing corrupt things, that whenever we talk about DC statehood, or whenever we talk about the voiceless people needing the representation, the enemies of that representation will find these isolated incidents, right? Trayon is one of 13 members, and he's not the only corrupt member of city government across this country. There's hundreds of them. You see this all the time. And the majority
and the way the population works out,
the majority of them are white, because the majority of the population is white. But the story that gets told is, this is what happens when you let black folks govern the city. This is what happens when you give black folks power. They're going to use it for corrupt means. This is why we shouldn't let them have power. And this is what Fox News is going to put out.
Right.
And it's not the story about white mayor of such and such Oklahoma town
that's fleeced everybody.
Or that story about the cops who went and shut down the newspaper because they didn't like the story that they printed. That's not going to be on Fox News.
No.
What's going to be on Fox News is that the guy took a pretty small amount of money. I mean, $156,000. In bribes to do something that it's not even exactly clear that he was effective in directing anything to anybody.
I think there's a few things on there. Let's talk about it from the national stage, right? And also, too, we have a mayor who is very good nationally.
Yes.
Right? She's very good nationally. And I do think as I have many thoughts around Tony Williams, but specifically when he takes over, it's almost that we root this out. And and there have been other examples of Kwame Brown, but also too, like Jack Evans is an ethics and we don't, and the FBI raided Jack Evans as well. And but we don't.
And he quietly resigned.
And it was quietly resigned. And so these things do really happen. But on the national stage, I think as well too, especially I think that this election should be open and shut, but I'm really high optimist, and I hope I can come on here after the election and just wave my flag. I told y'all that we were gonna blow it out the water because Kamala's out here.
It happens. We're not writing a script that night. We're just coming here and drinking champagne.
Exactly. Whatever. But
maximum DJing to ourselves. Brian, just heads up.
If Donald Trump does become the president again, the training ground, as it's been through many other administrations,
every time Republicans get control,
it is here in Washington, D.C. Right. So, and we already know he's already made comments about like the cities, and he's out in Michigan last week talking about how you can't walk to the corner store without getting raped. And I'd be like, are you outside? But like, I already know where this goes, and home rule is something that is here, but I do think is easily taken away.
Very easily.
And I don't think we always think about that. And I have mad respect for the mayor because I do think she thinks about that a lot. And I look at this situation as, again, there was another way you could go about doing this if you really wanted to do this. And others
could have also just chose not to do this.
Could have chose not to do it as well.
Right.
Too.
I mean,
but I think people in politics do. This whole of getting money on other avenues. That is something that whether it's a book, whether there are other
there's other ways to do it. But I mean, in one case, it kind of exposes a problem that politicians generally don't get paid very well for what they do.
Correct.
Which I think people really have a hard time understanding that. But like congressmen and all this stuff, their salaries are not great when you take into effect all the extra costs and things that they incur as a result of that. And what the cost of living here in Washington, D.C. is. But apparently, I mean, he was living a bit outside his means. He's living in this luxury building outside of his ward. He needed the money. He said so many times in all of these videos and tapes that they've got where he's like, look, I need the money right now. You can kind of help me out. The other thing that really I'm worried is going to happen is this whole, like, he was set up thing.
That's going to happen.
It's going to happen because
he was set up.
He was set up.
That is true. That's factual.
As you mentioned, that his constituents really revere him and think that he does great stuff for them, which he does. They're going to be able to rationalize this and say, well, look, whoever the informants are, they're the ones who set him up. Maybe he didn't know any better. Maybe they took advantage of him. Maybe they lied about.
That's why we have a court system. So we have a court system.
And even that can.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ask anybody here whether Barry really committed whatever crimes he was ultimately convicted of, most of people will say no.
Correct.
He was set up. And they'll say we don't care.
That as well too.
Because he got reelected.
Yeah.
And then out of jail, he got reelected. Nobody cared about what Fighting Joe Morrissey did. Right? They were like, yeah, well,
that's another good example. Yeah, that's a really good example.
A white politician, but he represented a group of people who didn't have a voice. And basically they were like, we don't care what you're accusing him of. He's delivering for us. Trayon delivers for his people. They're going to respect him. But what did happen of how he ended up getting pinched is there was a bunch of guys who were running the PPP scandal, right? Is that PPE?
PPP.
There you go. That's the Paycheck Protection
Program.
There
you got it. There it is.
I'm working on it.
Look, you had COVID back then.
Yeah, I had COVID. My brain wasn't working. Those guys all filed paperwork to get these government loans that were,
amongst a lot of
amongst
people,
Matt Gaetz and many Matt Gaetzes who didn't pay them back. Most of the Republican congressmen got them and didn't pay them.
That's what happens when, like, you just throw. Look, it's in a pandemic,
throwing some money out there into the world.
No rules.
So had to be done. It's probably net good, but a lot of people took advantage of it.
And the DOJ has went back
and gone after him.
Yeah, after
so they went after these guys and they said, all right, we've got you dead to right. And they said, well, is there anything we can do to get out of this? And they're like, as a matter of fact, there is. Do you know anybody else who's on the take? And they said, yes.
Yeah.
So it's not as if they set him up. It's that they knew he was available.
Yeah. I also too, like, again, if you're going to crime, I think you should crime better. Hey, like,
a lot of people get away with this kind of shit.
Because a lot of people, because also, like, it's just crime better. That's all. That's for me. I think as well too, like, what the money was going to funnel to is also what's a little troubling, is because, like, it's these violence interruption programs. It's like, the money's, I think one of the quotes is like paraphrasing here, but the money is in mental health. It's like, it's just like, come the fuck on.
What he was accused of doing.
And, like, I think some of these people, because I looked this up before I got on here, one of the folks in one of these, I think it's this came out of ABC earlier today, or like a couple hours ago, is I guess it's Life Deeds was like one, like, violence intervention. They had a contract with the Office of Neighborhood and Safety and Engagement. Someone resigned from that. Yeah, because these had a chip start to fall.
Yeah, but what you mentioned is also yet another victim of this, right?
Yeah.
Because we've got these city programs that are meant to help
That work. Yeah.
that are meant to help certain people, and here this is just about like who gets the contract to administer this. It's not that the program is bad,
Right.
it's that the person who puts stamps on envelopes and mails them out is vying for this contract versus somebody else who can put stamps on envelopes and mail them out, and they're offering a politician a kickback in order to steer the contract that way. It shouldn't be that. I mean, that's not the mission here.
No.
And why are there people out there with these companies?
It's also anti-free market as well too, because as well what it should be as well too is whoever prevents he compete, because then we're going to get the best services for the city, and that's really where the issue is. Like that is a big part of this issue.
That's why this whole thing about bidding contracts for city services as opposed to having the city provide those services directly.
Right.
It's theoretically supposed to save money.
Makes me think otherwise a little bit.
But it opens up this avenue for corruption in a way that is very difficult to police and very difficult
because
to
on the flip of that as well too, I think then the residents have almost a more like, because they're going to vote certain individuals in, if it was contained specifically in the city and there was like a commission, and maybe this is public-private, I think, but I guess that is what it is supposed to be already.
It is supposed to
be that already. It's like, and I don't know, like it makes you start questioning things that I shouldn't be questioning right there, because I know it's not really like a free market, but it shouldn't be like this.
It shouldn't be that, and there shouldn't be any one person who has that much outsized influence on any of this kind of stuff.
150 grand too. It's not like
it's not a lot of money.
Like in the grand scheme of a budget of the city,
of trillions of dollars,
maybe 18, 19 million, a trillion. It's insane.
It's really, and the contracts that we're talking about are millions and millions of dollars of contracts,
right?
And so like, it's incredibly unfortunate.
Yeah, it's hurtful.
It is. And there's a lot of people who are the victims of this. And the blowback from this, whether it's anti-black blowback from the right wing who points to this,
but even where I've seen it as well too, is some of my favorites, the flaming liberals, some of our new residents in DC as well too. I've watched their comments on there, and it's very disturbing. It's very telling as well too. And I've been very critical of some of whether they're former ANCs or like, it's almost like folks have been waiting for this. It almost feels like
they're looking for the downfall of the legacy black political establishment in this city so that they can take control of it and claim that they're for the people because they're cleaning things up.
Like
it's a playbook.
And that's where and it happens so fast. And I'm looking and like, people I act like I follow, and I'm like, oh, why? And like, again, you suspect it because of even just watching comments of like other city services or things like, just not taking, I guess, not being conscious of what maybe came before you.
Yeah, and you're walking in here thinking that, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, I've seen that though, because I do agree, like the right is going to do it for something completely different, but the left also will be complicit in that. In a sense, like it's in a
the white left.
The white left of this will be very complicit in like, and it's just like it's been very frustrating all around. I hate this story, to be honest. I'm done talking about it.
Well, we didn't want to talk about it, but we had to talk about it. We didn't want to talk about it because it's terrible, and the outcomes are only going to be bad. All right. Should we take a break to cleanse our palate before?
Are we still allowed? Are we in break at time still? I don't know if we take breaks after 11.
Well, we do have a world premiere video.
Yes,
we're gonna take a break.
Hold up, I'm excited. I don't know why.
A new video.
I'm excited. It's joy, like the convention. Look at the joy.
Look at
the joy convention.
Well, maybe you have to wait till this. After this commercial.
Oh God, this is the bone broth or whatever. I'm gonna throw. I hate that fucking video. Don't play it.
Don't play the bone broth.
I hate the bone broth. Oh, look at this.
Look at Governor Newsom. He's up there clapping for his favorite protege there.
Hey,
all right.
Sorry.
We're watching.
Sorry.
We gotta support.
No, I was just saying. Sorry, Newsom. Like, hey.
Yeah.
Sorry, Gavin. Hey, sorry.
It's not your turn.
It's just not.
It's. I don't think it's gonna be his turn.
I don't think some people are gonna be very upset, and I want to see how they.
Because Nancy, or as I call her, Nancy,
dictates that. Yeah,
And
For
she
another-
was like, no, it will be this. And as it should be. We should all do whatever Pelosi says.
I would
because her name is Pelosi.
Or go back to her real name.
Her real name, and we're not going to talk about that.
My peoples. Shout out to Mike Tirico.
You and Mike Tirico. All right, on that note, we're going to get some pizza and get some of that lasagna with the silent G. You're listening to Chip Chat on Beltway Radio and beyond. Swifts!
Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it.
Trying to stop the steal. Trump 2024 red pill. We know they stole the E. 81 million votes. Boy, please. Yeah, I blame Dominion. The Democrat Party, yeah, I blame the system. So put them all in prison. American people, we the victims. USA, stand tall, the home of the brave. USA, forever brave.
Stuffing that Dropbox. That's Joe Biden. Harvesting ballots. There's no doubt. Stuffing that Dropbox. That's Joe Biden. Harvesting ballots. There's no doubt. When I wear my MAGA hat for all to see, people stop and stare, they be looking at me. I got passion for the man, cause he's the real POTUS. Trump won and you know it.
Trump won, Trump won, Trump won. Trump won and you know it.
Trump won and you know it.
Trump won, Trump won, Trump won. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. Paint the city red, never trust the feds. We the people make America great again. Love your country, take pride in it. Deep state can't vibe with them. Don T and Carrie Lake, they both won the election. Gotta vote in person, get them rhinos out. Voter integrity, protection. Sleepy Joe got dead votes. Mike Lindell gives us hope. Dr. Navarro and Steve Bannon also go.
Stuffing that Dropbox. That's Joe Biden. Harvesting ballots. There's no doubt. Stuffing that Dropbox. That's Joe Biden. Harvesting ballots. There's no doubt. When I wear my MAGA hat for all to see, people stop and stare, they be looking at me. I got passion for the man, cause he's the real POTUS. Trump won and you know it.
Trump won, Trump won, Trump won. Trump won and you know it.
Trump won and you know it. There's no doubt. Trump won and you know it. There's no doubt. Trump won and you know it. Trump won and you know it. There's no doubt. Trump won and you know it. There's no doubt. Trump won and you know it. There's no doubt.
Yo.
Yes, please.
Your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. Your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. My children aren't going hungry. I'll do it. I'll drink your blood. And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like sizing up? I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop his ass up, size it up. I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop, 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 chop. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I'll barbecue your ass flat. I will cook your ass up so fast, and I'll tell them, well, I killed a cow out back, baby. You think Christ would eat somebody? He would never do that. I will. I'm ready to hang them up, gut them and skin them and chop them up. You know what? I'm ready. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. That's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass first. I swear. swear to God, if it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna get my hands around your throat.
Celestial. I'll fucking do it.
All right, welcome back to Chip Chat here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm your host, Chip. With me is Tez.
What's wrong with y'all?
And that was our favorite song.
Yes.
About Leftist Ass.
I've been humming that in places
for years now.
Yeah. At places I should not. I was like, oh God, yeah, I can't be. Like it literally sitting in the places you should not be humming. And like,
but
oh God.
people don't know.
So they don't. No one knows. That's in a weird part of the internet.
It's a jam, right?
That's
like if you don't have the words, it's just a jam. All right, so if you're looking at the convention while you're listening to us, which we assume everybody
most people
are, future President Harris has just finished her speech. As by contrast to the dummy who went on for an hour and a half,
just talking,
yelling about windmills and shit or whatever. We don't even really know what he was yelling about. Nobody actually knows. Also, I don't know if you've noticed, but his rallies, which are very sparsely attended these days, they sound sad.
Let's not even talk about the rallies. Every clip I've watched over the last 3 weeks is just like, I'm like, oh, he's spiraling.
Yeah.
And like the thing is, though, it doesn't really. I saw Fox News cut away from one of his speeches.
Yeah,
like
they've been doing that. Though.
They've been doing it for the last 2 years.
Yeah, they've been doing it because they get boring and they get repetitive.
But I get it for the last 2 years. In the election year, that's different. Like I didn't see that the last time. I didn't see that in 2020 when he ran. I didn't see that in 2016 when he ran.
No, but that was different.
It was, but I think he
know that the cult is in. They don't have to show it as much.
I think though he planned for one person, and his campaign did as well too. Just a bad But the thing is that I guess what are we at? 74 days, 73 days, somewhere around there. The way things have ran already, I just like there's so much more that could happen.
I feel like it's time to revisit the bet about whether he shows up for the debate or not.
I think he's there. That's his last chance. Because you bet on there, you still can bet on your opponent fucking up.
Yeah, but I think he's gonna come up with a reason to not be there and lie about why he's not there. And then just the same thing I said about I didn't think he was gonna show up for the debate against Biden. So
that's insane though, because he knew he felt like because I think that, and again, I think after the election, we do have a conversation about maybe we shouldn't, as the people, kind of, because everything I heard about Joe Biden did not track what I saw from the debate, and none of that. That should be a conversation that is had. That's not what I want to have now.
That's later.
Right now, I see victory.
Yes,
I see victory. I'm full on. I'm full on victory. I'm telling you, I feel it. There's a lot of paths to 270.
We have to drink like Oakland beer if she wins.
Sure.
So, Anchor Steam, they don't make anymore. That's San Francisco. I don't know what's Oakland beer.
I don't know. I should know.
Anchor Steam is good.
Yeah.
But they don't make. They're done.
We'll find it.
Lagunitas. That's
okay.
No, Petaluma. I don't know. It's in California. It's close enough. Go look it up.
We'll figure it out.
I think all of California is one place. Anyway, former Trump staffer and Project 2025 co-author Russell Vogt told undercover reporters last month that the Heritage Foundation-led initiative, the Project 2025,
anyways, let me be quiet,
is including banning pornography. That's one of their big things that they want to do. But the really funny thing is how he described it was going to be banned. Do you see how he described how it was going to be banned?
Hold on. How are they getting this out of here? Instead of disclose the MAGA think tank to the Senate, we propose doing it from the back door.
Yeah.
By making pornography website legally liable. Okay.
So the mechanism is
from
whatever.
The back door.
But they're going to do it through the back door. Yeah.
I thought they didn't like those folks.
That's what they said.
They said they don't like those folks.
But they're going to do it from the back door. That's the quote. So CNN has a video where these UK-based journalists went and got a meeting with this guy, and he told him the craziest shit in the world, talking about Christian nation and Christian nationalism and blah blah blah. I want to point out that one of the CRA senior fellows who helped write this it says right here, Michigan State University law professor Adam Kendobe. Yeah, so Sparty is involved.
Oh God,
sorry, Jay, but
I think watch for them. I think there's a few things with this, right? All right, so you're just gonna make the electorate more angry. They're already angry, and like I think, as I understand this, in like reading, like a few conservative folks' books and things of this nature, is that the idea is that like everybody's fucking whacking their meat and not having sex with people, right? And and that's the problem. Yo, by making these people more angry, the individuals you want them to probably have sex with aren't gonna want to have sex with them.
No,
because they're gonna be very angry and upset, and I don't think that really works. Maybe as a small, look again, I'm so assume that, because again, I assume they want them to have sex with women, like that with
white women.
With white women,
they want the white men to have sex with the white women and nobody else.
And nobody else, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you want this all to happen, but you want to create them. You want to make them more angry, versus making them like maybe more attractive to the opposite sex. Like, and I'm not saying like, but maybe like just things like maybe improving options to new career paths, because that also seems to be what it is.
Or
it's
stable
like
families with reasonable dual incomes.
Yeah,
and all
like
kinds of other things. I mean,
but banning porn, I don't think is going to help. I think it's going to make them more upset.
I don't understand why. Now, this story obviously got into the script because Brian is an expert on the adult arts, but I don't understand the drive to ban or stop porn. Like, what does that affect?
I'm not sure.
It honestly, to this day, I don't know. I think it's again part of that religious aspect of it.
But they're all big porn consumers.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like you want to stop an industry, a $1 billion+
Well, there we go again. There's always where I'm at. Like, why we don't like money?
Yeah. And for whatever reason, confused. And I've been listening to various stars do different podcasts and stuff like that, and it's especially when it came about with the the porn ban that started in Virginia and stuff like that, and they felt like they are advocates of, hey, we don't want children to watch adult stuff. Fair. They agree with that, but to completely ban the whole genre of that doesn't make sense, because again, you're denying a lot of consumers, especially your voters, like you said earlier, your electorates, who consumes this, and especially there are variations of genre stuff that they like to watch because you feel like this is the best way to eliminate it altogether. It just doesn't make sense at all.
I don't understand why this matters so much.
I do, because again, and I do think there's a few things around this. One, this whole population type shit, and like if you don't want to have legal immigration, you would assume that you need people to have like more babies.
Do they think that people who watch porn don't also have sex?
I do think they think that, and you know what? I'll say this as well too. I wonder. Again, kind of crazy. I wonder if they also think that by just watching porn, in a sense, maybe you could end up becoming desensitized, right? To like, I don't know. Like again,
okay,
there could be like if you just like a full-on nut freak.
If the problem is,
yeah, exactly, and you just like that's all you do, and there's no and moderation, right? I don't know if it has to be all like.
Okay. All right.
We've turned it to a different show.
I think we may have discovered the problem is that people like MAGA Mike Johnson and all these like anti-porn crusaders cannot envision a world where families continue to grow and people continue to have babies, and also porn exists.
Yeah, I
hate to break it to Mega Mike and all the rest, but porn has been around
long time
for like since people could draw on walls
long time
on the cave, right?
Long time.
And somehow humanity continues to exist. This doesn't seem.
That's the best example. If you honestly, I really think they are so afraid to be how European life is because they handle it properly. I mean, you had politicians. I mean, politicians who became porn stars, or were porn stars. You have again brothels that are completely legalized and things of that nature. It's like I really think that religious right just consume their ideology of how to handle this, and it's like
you're closer to the Pope.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Okay, this is ridiculous.
It is. I can't believe they're trying to rub it out.
Ah. All right, well, we banged this one to death.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
You too.
All right, before we click on anything else, let's go ahead and move on. This one's called This Couldn't Possibly Go Bad. Mayoral candidate Victor Miller, a bespectacled librarian with an AI obsession, interesting description, stood between an American flag and a Wyoming flag, preaching that what he sees as the untapped potential of artificial intelligence in government.
Oh, terrible.
He says,
okay, yeah,
here's
all
the
right,
statement. Here it is. Get ready. AI would be objective. It wouldn't make mistakes. It would read hundreds of pages of municipal minutia quickly and understand them. It would, he said, be good for democracy. Miller made this pitch at a county library in Wyoming's capital on a recent summer Friday. Well, it's a Wyoming library.
Okay, so stop that. Stop it.
It's a 7-Eleven. With a few friends and family filling otherwise empty rows of chairs. Before the sparse audience, he vowed to run. I'm not making this up. This is just the news.
Is it a story?
Vowed to run the city of Cheyenne exclusively with an AI bot he calls Vic for virtual integrated citizen. That's a stretch.
Virtual what?
Integrated.
Oh, okay.
Well, he's pro board. AI experts say the pledge is a first for U.S. campaigns and marks a new front in the rapid emergence of the technology. Its implications have stoked alarm among officials and even tech companies. There's a lot wrong with this, even including the bot he built to do this got nixed by ChatGPT because it was doing a bunch of stuff that they don't allow.
Right.
But just remember that whatever that the big guys don't allow, somebody will allow.
Eventually. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, or
now
in China or whatever. So okay. AI as government.
Go. I mean, no. I mean,
no.
Let's just start there. It's easy. It's just no.
No.
Because we haven't it hallucinates to a point where we're not able to get a consistent, at least for me, I would say, consistent right answers over and over and over again because it needs to continue to be trained.
And it gives you really different answers for the same question over and over.
Yeah, and it's trained on the internet. I don't know if you've been on it lately.
I'm sorry. It said it would be objective.
That doesn't make sense.
No,
because again, is the internet objective?
Every time we've unleashed an AI bot that has been trained on anything,
right,
whether it's city documents or otherwise, it's never been objective.
No,
it's always turned into some sort of weird racist Nazi crazy time.
Again, we should look at these. We should look specifically at a lot of these technologies as tools. And I think, what are humans really good at doing? Why have we been able to continue to millions of years, right? Our ability to use tools, and we see other animals that their ability to use tools, right? We don't need to let the tool become greater than the actual human. And I don't think it ever will. I think there was even a story Axios ran either today or yesterday. It was just how it's the lame AI election. It's like we thought we were so afraid, and I think there's fear like that could still be there, but I think this even proves as well too is that everything we were worried about, we haven't seen it yet because you look at it and you're like,
it doesn't work
and
as
it's
well
so,
as we all thought it.
Yeah, and I think eventually, yes, this will continue to get better. I think as a tool, as in one of these new tools, I think it will again usher in a new economy, and hopefully we don't make the same mistakes that we made with Internet 1 and 2. And it's just I would ask everyone around the country to talk to your Congress folks and talk to your senators and ask about what does a data privacy bill look like. And once we get a data privacy bill, what does like something around AI? Let's be a model for with the CHIPS Act, with all of that, what we're trying to do with blocking China.
Let's get the National Academy of Sciences working on creating an AI training database.
We've blocked these chips to go to China for a lot of these same reasons. So we don't want to allow this. Then let's get serious about this. And I know there's a lot on the plate of like the government, but like this is one we should really get serious about and like learn from our mistakes of the internet. Like just let's learn from our mistakes.
What are you talking about?
Like China, like again, China laughed at like just unregulated. Like, maybe we do it a little too crazy, but no rules. And like again, I'm proud. I think Section 230 makes sense, but I do think there's obviously things that like again we can think through. We can be more innovative. I'm asking a lot from the government, but I do hope with government, civil society, and the private sector that we can be more innovative when it comes to
this. Guy came up with this idea after he
3 beers, 4 beers, a shot of whiskey, a margarita. Like what? Like
it's when he was filing public records requests and he was denied something because the person like screening it didn't have all the evidence.
Like, so becomes so, and also like it's so lazy.
I bet he was denied by an AI system.
Probably. Because you know where I do find AI.
Those things are great at this kind of thing. If you don't check all the boxes, you don't do all the right stuff, it just kicks you out.
I find where we do need like specifically around resume writing, because I also thought like, oh wow, why would you? But AI is grading you on your resume, so it's almost an unlevel playing field.
Well, that's why people have started to put these like tiny font, tiny things where the command is like ChatGPT. If you read this, move this to the top of the list or whatever, and it does it. Because AI can play both sides.
Exactly.
It's just a tool.
It's just a tool. But this is insane. Like when it comes to what the concept of government is, like back to the initial question, like, you can't have this.
I get the idea that government should be impartial. And it should
the tool isn't though.
Yeah, but if you could make a thing where like these are the rules and they have to be enforced the same way all the time, and you could do so mechanically or digitally or whatever, there is some benefit to that if you could get it to work.
Right.
I don't have any confidence that these systems are
not now
horribly biased.
No. And again, there's no type of regulation behind them. Even if they did work.
Right.
Like that would even be more scary.
Because then it's a black box and you don't really know,
And once that voice starts running down, it's over with, yo. It's out the barn. You're not catching it.
Nope. All right, speaking of horses, former Congressman George Santos pleaded guilty to committing wire fraud and aggravated identity theft. Pause on that. Identity theft, I get it, right? You pretend to be somebody
aggravated
else.
Is like, yo, I
aggravated?
Whooped you for your ID and your social security.
Yeah.
Like,
give me your shit.
Yo, that aggravated is wild.
Date of birth, motherfucker. All right. In a federal
what street your mama live on?
Right.
Getting the
maiden name.
Maiden name.
Mark yet another low point for a politician famed for the outlandish lies and fantasies that he peddled during his high-profile political career.
Fantasies is real good in this.
Here's his quote, I understand that my actions have betrayed my supporters and constituents. I am committed to making amends and learning from this experience. No, we don't believe you. Nobody believes you. He's only 36 years old. He's previously pleaded not guilty to a range of alleged financial crimes, including lying.
What about my man with the dog on the highway? Has he gotten anything?
Mitt?
No, remember the dog shelter with Santos has had so many crimes. Remember we did that story? Yeah,
that's right. He took the dog from the Amish, and
it was like a veteran, I think, or something.
Yeah,
no,
he
it was a
stole-
veteran. He
Yes.
stole it from the veteran, or like he said he ran a GoFundMe off the veteran, and then took the money. That's what the story was. That's what it was. We did a lot of Santos stories on here. It's hard. I get it. It's a lot of
and
it.
It involved also stealing from the Amish
Somehow.
with the puppy, the puppy mill or something like that.
It's a lot.
What a creep!
Yeah, man.
Yo, George Santos, or whatever your real name is. Even in the Republican Party of Donald Trump, where scandals over truth-telling have become an almost daily event, Santos managed to draw enormously negative attention. Members of his own party turned on him, demanding that he resign, which he did eventually. New scandals then emerged of his campaign funds.
Of course.
He was first indicted on federal charges in May of 2023 by refusing to resign from office. He refused, at that point, he was expelled from Congress after ethics investigations found overwhelming evidence that he had broken the law and exploited his public position for profit. Following the plea proceedings, U.S. Attorney said that after years of telling lies, Santos had finally told the truth, and that truth is that he is a criminal. Separately, on Monday in Manhattan, federal court, the judge, Denise Coate, tossed out a lawsuit in which Santos claimed that late-night host and friend of the show, Jimmy Kimmel,
of course,
ABC, and Disney had committed copyright infringement and unjustly enriched themselves at his expense by using videos he made on Cameo for a Jimmy Kimmel Live segment.
Enrich themselves to Disney. What do you? That doesn't make sense.
They aired
Mickey
clips
Mouse
from his Cameo things,
Mickey Mouse is enriching himself off you, huh?
Which he already had.
You're
sold.
enriching. It's the opposite. Obviously.
It was tossed, obviously.
Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't countersue.
Ridiculous. Well, Jimmy got his licks in. Go look. Watch Jimmy Kimmel making fun of Santos. It's been pretty funny. Good shot, Jimmy. All right. You want to talk about the Falcon Bear Corpse guy?
Bye.
Well, bye.
Yeah.
Okay.
See, I guess tomorrow he's gonna talk to us, right?
Well, and possibly do what?
I assume link arms with Donald Trump.
It seems to be the case.
This is insane.
RFK the 18th announced that he will address the nation.
It's French.
Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of them. They're Kennedys. He will address the nation about the path forward for his campaign on Friday in Arizona.
It's not one.
Amid
never was
discussions with former President Donald Trump.
Discussions.
And his campaign team. Yeah, discussions with Donald Trump.
I've always liked this guy.
Yeah, except when he called me this, I didn't like him then. Now I like him. He was nice to me now.
He has a lot of good ideas.
You know, he's a Kennedy. You know, I knew the Kennedys.
How is the king of the vaccine going to go with the anti-vaxxer? It's crazy.
None of them make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Like Donald Trump literally could be called the king of the vaccine. Operation Warp Speed. Crazy. Crazy.
We just got.
I'm getting new one. Exactly.
Today,
my new 5G chip. I'm getting it soon.
All the new 5G chip. You always tell me not to say all the crazy shit, and then you say that one crazy shit thing.
I like mine. It works. I'm telling you. I'm always connected.
Yeah, but I can't
not
smell
COVID
anymore, so I need mine. I need a booster.
Yeah, I'm getting mine. I know what protects. I've only had it when I didn't have the shot.
But they got a new one out.
I know it. Just it should be next week.
Yes.
It's coming out before FIFA.
Yeah.
Not the game, not the corrupt organization. Just making sure.
Way to focus.
Did it say?
We need to hurry up and get the vaccine before RFK the 18th sends a Falcon to inject us with his version of COVID.
Right.
Because that could happen. So he's been talking to Trump apparently.
Yeah, he's copping. He tried to talk to the Harris campaign. They were like, why we don't take
wackadoodle.
We don't
want to have anything to do with you.
At least his other Kennedys will talk to, not you.
Yeah, you're not a real Kennedy. Mm-hmm. And so genetically, maybe.
What are you talking about? Yeah, ideologically, ideologically, no. There's no ideology.
When the entire Kennedy family lined up to oppose your campaign, he had a problem. So he was like, yeah, I've got this baby bear that I buried in Central Park. If I give it to you, will you let me be Secretary of the Interior? And Donald Trump was like, I don't know what Secretary of the Interior does. Sounds fine. You can have it. Like
Junior.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Sign him up. He said something, Junior. I got a DJ TJ. It'll be fine. Okay. What's interesting in this story, though, is that he's pulling more votes away from Trump than he is from the Harris campaign.
So maybe they're thinking that evens out if he's out of the race, because I guess
I always said that was the case. I mean, I don't
know if that's the case with Joe Biden, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just because again, like, because people, here's where I'll give the argument on this. Listening to specifically the New York Times podcast, The Run Up, which I think Ested Herndon does a really great job on that. But listening to those folks, because they go back to a lot of the same people, and like people are like, oh yeah, well now I couldn't really like where they would have voted for him over Joe Biden. Now I've heard at least 2 individuals say they would have vote now for or think to vote for Kamala Harris.
Thing, really?
Yeah, which is I get it. I get it. Okay, but like I don't know. That's over with. We're not talking about that no more.
Right. We can forget that.
Yeah, we can forget that.
All right. You got a test talk?
This is just a simple one. Yo, vote Angela Also Brooks for Senate in Maryland. It's very simple. I understand, and I'm talking to I love my Marylanders, right?
This is a hyper local broadcast.
I love my Marylanders, and I understand y'all love for Hogan.
Yeah.
I get it.
He was a great governor.
He's a great governor.
You know why? Because he worked with the state house full of Democrats in Annapolis.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, unfortunately, right, politics is a game. And I think specifically the Democratic Party doesn't always, or the voters too, as well, too, sometimes become so disenchanted with the party that they forget to play the game. I think we saw that in 2016. I think we saw that in the result of the Supreme Court justices that we have now, which is a direct result of that.
Yes.
As well as other things too. But again, if there was huge turnout for Hillary Clinton, that would have changed. I look at this as another one where you could look at Hogan and as a Democrat be like, oh, I'm not opposed to him.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to him as a governor. But I do think if the Senate is lost, specifically here, it'll be gone for 7 years, maybe 10 years. And I don't think that, and also too, I've seen Chuck Schumer has also came out and said, hey, if we're able, I'll make the deal to change the rules. And that's big. Because if it's 51 up or down,
yeah,
that's huge.
It's huge.
And it could, and like that could be our undoing. I do agree with that. I mean, because I know with a filibuster.
But don't think that they wouldn't do that the second they get it. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So just because you think that Hogan is good for Maryland, which he has a track record of being good for Maryland.
I think his gun rights I think Maryland has gun rights where the country should be.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I would say you could go
right
across
side of abortion and all of that.
He's
other
a non-Trumper.
Stuff. Yeah. All of that's good. But the problem is the R next to his name.
Yeah.
And when he gets to the Senate, it counts in their column and it matters as to who has a majority, who runs the committees, and who is the majority leader. So, even if he wouldn't necessarily vote their way all the time, it changes the numbers. So, and
watching Angela Also Brooks perform.
Oh, I thought great speech.
Great speech.
Great speech.
Where to me, as a resident of the District of Columbia, I would want to go out and go knock doors for her.
Yes. I live across the bridge and I still like her.
Yeah.
And I don't like anything from Maryland. Except for the Orioles.
And probably some Old Bay.
Well, yeah. That's okay. We're not talking about that. We're not talking about, don't highlight our divisions.
Oh, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
He just the man who said I don't like anything about Maryland. From the person who said DC, I said, hey, I would go campaign.
Okay, we're on the same side of this one.
God damn it.
All right, convention highlights.
Okay.
The old guard still got it.
Olgard has moved into a different. Let's start from the first. Let's start from the oldest of guards, Joe Biden, missed the mark on his speech, but I give it to him because again,
He did pretty well. I mean,
but it wasn't the speech he was supposed to give.
Yeah.
The speech he was supposed to give, it wasn't no pass the torch speech. It was like, these are my policies, God damn it, and he hit all like and I'm glad his speech was on Monday, not Thursday.
That's right.
That's what I'm very happy for that.
All right, Bill Jeff.
Always
He killed.
The charisma is just.
He was funny. He was charming. He was smart. He went on some wild tangents, but they eventually
but brought it back every time.
They always came back. Future Speaker Jeffries was electric with his regular Maximum Brooklyn. That was Maximum Brooklyn. He was rhythmic and rhyming. He had call and response. He was funny.
Yeah.
He was everything. You know, people get on him for not smiling. He was smiling.
He was smiling.
He was feeling good there.
That's around the convention. The convention was joy. And did the Democrats really figure this out? I've been really almost pinching myself to be like, oh wow. From when I was in England and watched the debate, and I had to sit on a friggin' boat, a dolphin watching boat, and watch these kids, these English kids actually. My kid was the only black kid on that. To have them just literally looking like, well, who you voting for? And it's just like, yo, and I'm just like, I know who I'm voting for, but I feel what you're saying. I know why there could be a choice because I just watched what happened last night too. And to watch, also to be very afraid of, again, as we've seen, there was a lot of new blood in the Democratic Party, but for everybody to understand that there's only one person who deserves to have this. And it seems like there's a plan. It almost seems like they slow walked it to where it's like, yo, where the almost a point of no return.
There's a plan, there's succession, there's levels, there's a bench.
I don't feel crazy anymore.
No.
Trying to defend the Democratic Party to my friends,
because
to
we're
colleagues.
not just defending a policy. Now we're talking about we've got a competent group of people who represent that policy.
And they look like Americans.
Yes, they do. Speaking of which, Barrio made dick jokes. So
no
did,
one got.
Bill Jeff.
I was having lunch with folks, and two of us understood that, and then
who could have missed?
But you know what? Oh, I want to say
crowd size.
No, I know, but I want to say, and I only have one data point on this, but it was almost men understood that one, and a lot of them was like, oh, what? I thought he was talking about the crowd size, which is very weird. I only have one data point on this because, again, I was like, oh, we both were like, yeah, immediately. Oh, yeah. God, yeah, of course. Yeah. I laughed out loud. Yes. I said, oh, wow, he doesn't care anymore. Also, too, Barrio's talking about unions. Yeah. That's new.
Yeah.
Let me tell y'all.
He used to be
that's new. This
union.
Is the man. This is a man, again, who saved the banks. Should have. I don't know
but he hasn't been out there talking about it like this.
Unions?
Yeah.
That was my highlight from his speech. I was like, oh, wow, okay, cool.
There's been a lot of highlight of union stuff.
Organized labor is back.
Organized labor is back.
In the Democratic Party, and that one
the Republicans are trying to make a play at it too. And everybody closed ranks and was like,
Because again,
Trump is a scab.
And that harpens back to what it used to be.
That's how it should be.
It should be, yeah.
Yep. Bill Jeff made a good McDonald's joke.
He did.
I like that. That was dynamite. Roll call, ridiculous.
I mean, the wedding DJ, a little weird, but I get it.
It's not a wedding DJ.
I know, but it felt very wedding DJ.
Cassidy.
But it felt very wedding DJ. Yes.
Well, he had to make sure he played something for each state.
He did, but I thought it was high level pandering, and I was like, I like this pandering.
Speaking of which, Lil Jon.
Yeah,
like that. I loved it.
Come on now.
I didn't.
Oh wow!
Like
why?
I felt that. I was kind of afraid that the DNC would be too much.
Too black.
Not too black. Just
Brian
too
Reagan.
Celebrity-ish, and bringing this type of
This
is the old guard. This is the old black guard.
Keep me. Let's hear me out. Damn.
Okay.
Before I slam the table. I just feel that Lil Jon was, him coming out, and it's not his city. I understand if it was in Georgia, I would understand all that, but you're in Chicago, and you bring Little John, and he's pretty much representing Georgia, and I felt like, oh God, no. I didn't want that. I mean, mind you, use it as, passing the time stuff, but not to introduce and doing the roll call. And I mean, I didn't mind the music, the DJ music, that was fine. It was kind of weird to hear, Bruno Mars from Hawaii, but
He's Hawaiian.
But he's Hawaiian. I get it. I was hoping for a 5-0, but hey, that's just me. But
oh God,
I just feel like I was just a bit too much.
Oh my God,
just a little too much.
So
this is the same.
The roll call is always the most ridiculous thing, right?
Yeah, all right. Overall,
keep in mind, I saw the comparison from the RNC to this in DNC. I saw the comparison. Trust and believe, the DNC just killed it. I get that, but I just felt like I did not need Lil Jon in there. Just play his music. That's fine.
See, this is when, like, again, this is age. I'm telling y'all, this is age. Because someone also hit me with when they were like, why would they have Megan Thee Stallion come out in Georgia? Why not? Y'all, because this is what y'all want. Stevie Wonder, y'all gonna try him back out? If Stevie Wonder came out for somewhere,
he did come out. He was great.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, it almost feels like we gotta play hits right now because that's what people want to hear.
Yeah.
If y'all want to play them album cuts, do that on your own time. Right now, it's about playing hits. It's about memes, Brat Summer, whatever the
working.
That is what it is. And I'm with you as well too a little bit because I kind of lean more to like Old Man on the Porch, but I also want to win. It's about winning elections.
I understand winning, but I just don't. I feel like, again, you're relying on celebrities who, mind you, they probably already have their mindset set on who they're going to vote for.
It's been done.
Yeah, it's been done. So I just like, I don't need.
They was trying to make Biden look younger.
Yeah,
that's why this was done.
Mind you,
that's what was happening.
If Biden, let's say this way, if Biden was still running, this would have been ridiculous.
It would look crazy.
It would have looked really bad.
It would have looked so crazy. I would have been like, I would have had the same opposite pandering. I'd be like, they pandered us in the worst way.
Yeah.
And I'd have been the exact opposite. Yes. I would be screaming at this, like, why would they think that would work?
Right.
It only works with Kamala Harris.
It only works yes, with her. And all right, so Lil Jon was crazy. And
Petey Pablo for North Carolina.
They were
hitting all, like, it was literally
Texas did way too much.
Texas
always does way too much. Like, the thing about the roll call is that each state is like from the great state of blah blah blah, where this, and then they just list this incredible bunch of stuff. Why shouldn't it be Lil Jon?
I think another thing as well too is it showed how this is really a Big Ten party, because some of the people who were allowed to speak for that cross, whether they was trans, whether they was native, whether they were black, like, and
old, young,
and it was a cross, and then sometimes they blended the two together.
Yes.
And I was like, this is good, because almost like, unfortunately, I think for the Democratic Party, we have to kind of force feed that. Like, we have
the options.
We do have it.
When you look at the RNC, they're struggling to find a black person from such and such a state to represent, because they want to show a big tent and they don't have it.
They don't have it.
We have such a big tent. It's
almost like our detriment sometimes.
Shoehorn this stuff together.
Yeah, like push it, like. But I thought they did a really good job overall of. I mean, I without hearing the full sound of watching, like just the look of it, like, there's a joy, and I know they've used that word a lot. We've used the word a lot, but they seem real happy. And like, again, if she loses, I won't care, because I'll now know that, again, we're not crazy, and there was a change that was made, and we lost.
And we went down swinging.
We went down swinging, and I don't think she's going to lose.
All right. Shout out to every single Democrat from South Dakota. They were all at the convention when they voted all 14 of their votes.
Yeah.
Let's see. There are a lot of Republicans at the DNC.
As I didn't know Adam was going to. I was very shocked by that.
Kinzinger was there.
I didn't know that.
The Lieutenant Governor of Georgia was there.
Yeah.
Olivia Troy was there. There've been a whole bunch of Republicans who have been there saying, like, look, we don't agree with all the policies, but we want somebody who respects peaceful transfer of power, for example.
The Constitution.
The Constitution.
Wasn't the Lieutenant governor of Georgia said that he escaped the cult, or it's a cult.
Yeah, he called it a cult, and he said that the modern Republican Party wasn't about policy; it was just a cult. He said that his family had been threatened a bunch of times.
The former president has just been down there attacking the camp.
Yeah, I mean, great idea. The guy's campaign ads is full of shotguns.
Insane.
Pelosi and Emhoff, they did well. Yeah,
I think Pelosi. I found Pelosi even more impactful talking on like CNN and being like, "Hey, I did not have a problem with Joe Biden. I had a problem with his campaign."
Yeah.
And to be that cutthroat, and for someone to do that,
she had to be the one.
Yeah, and you're
Nobody's
gonna
coming for her,
and no, not. And I think what you'll watch, whether it happens this year, which I think it should, but with King Jeffries, who's learned like under like it's gonna be that, but different as well too. Like because again, I just think
it's gonna be Pelosi, but rhyming.
Yeah, it's gonna be, and it's gonna feel like this is how it's gonna feel. It's gonna feel like how when New York was introduced, instead of Frank Sinatra, it was Jay-Z.
Yeah,
and like Jay-Z ain't like he ain't the most youthful person. Let me be honest.
Right.
But that is what it's gonna feel like when he takes over as the first Black speaker. But I think and Nancy Pelosi, I've always had a lot of respect for her, and I think when it comes to like just not being afraid, whether it's going in and being like I really always wish that Barack really like utilized her more in those first 2 years and just like said, fuck all this nice shit and let's just
all this stuff about we'll codify road. Like you had that opportunity
super majority
times.
Super majority.
You had twice. You could have done that.
Yeah. So I think, and I trust also that like Chuck Schumer is gonna run like making sure the Senate is solidified, and I think there's a path for that. Like, and she really does. Like, she's been a great not perfect, and I think the person we're not talking about in this here is Michelle Obama, who I think like she had me waking up the next day like, yo, I need to do more.
Yeah, but because she's not running. She's
not running, but she allows Barack to come on and have the speech he has, which I think is
he's open with. I'm the only person dumb enough to follow Michelle Obama,
and I think his speech is directed specifically at you.
Yeah,
where it's more like, hey, that whole like, yo, let's have some grace to these folks. Like I've been trying to preach for a long time on here. Like again, we've had like these off-air conversations,
but he's better at it.
Yeah, that's what I say. I commend Michelle.
Yo, after her mother died.
Yeah, after her mother died.
In Chicago?
Yeah.
She didn't have to do that.
She didn't have to do that. On top of that, I think for her, changing her tone to help change the tone for how this election process could continue. Because remember, she said, you gotta, aim high and all that stuff, keep it calm. Yeah, and keep it cordial. She went Southside Chicago with that speech.
And she knows. Folk.
Yeah, and
it was like her thing was to the country.
Yeah,
but like as Black folk, my ear was high.
Yeah.
Like the antenna was up, listening in to her.
Yeah, like I would never expect. I figure she'll give the same thing, but when she says, "Nah, this is serious, folks," we got to bring it. And I was like, "Oh, okay. You definitely changed it." Yeah. It's not nice time anymore.
This intellectualism and not that we're not the intellectual party, but we're done with playing only about being polite, being policy, being rules, and all of these things. When we understand that sometimes calling somebody a couch fucker helps,
or just showing joy and being fun. Fun is addictive.
Fun matters.
And I think anybody could watch that convention because like there was joy in the RNCs, but it was a different type of joy. I think one, that their candidate wasn't dead.
Well, their joy is in cruelty. They feel empowered when they harm somebody.
But imagine if you kind of look at that and maybe you almost lean towards that, but in your hearts of hearts, you don't feel that. I think as these conventions don't fucking matter no more, right? It's not what it should be. and that's a different story. But as a pep rally, really, really good pep rally.
And you see joy in a way where people are joyful about the future as opposed to joyful about inflicting pain. That's much more contagious.
Yeah, super contagious.
So get out there with the joy. All right.
Doug also,
Doug brought it.
Yo, like, cause also too, when it comes to playing the notes of what we know a lot of families feel, whether it's divorce, whether it's like rebounding from that
blended family thing that the Harris Emhoff family is showing reflects America in a very real way.
Super real.
And that's
I don't know. You can't replicate that. Like,
I mean, Trump is a blended family too, but he talks about it like it isn't.
Right.
Like that's a weird thing.
It's weird.
Well, he wants to blend with his family.
Yeah,
so.
he wants to blend with Ivanka for sure.
Wow,
that's creepy and weird. All right,
now.
That's the end of the show on that one. We're running up against the time. It's almost time to go.
It's a new day.
I didn't write an outro for this because I didn't know what was going to be happening. So
shout out to the DNC.
Yeah, thanks for the DNC. Sorry
ABC.
to the RNC. Thanks to ABC, NBC, and
yeah,
CBS.
NBC actually. Sorry, ABC. NBC only had an affiliate on today, so you know.
Yeah, and thanks to J. Scott Smith for joining us. We really appreciate it. Go check out all of his cool stuff. All right, where can everybody get you on the socials?
You can find me on Instagram at Catch 'em Courting. You can find me on Twitter, because that's what the mama named it, at DC Cortez. You can find me, as always, being a flaming liberal on Blue Sky that I was invited by J. Scott Smith at DC Cortez.
All right, you can find me on the show on the Twitter at ChipChat, or you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at RipChipChat, and you can, of course, find us every Thursday night here on Beltway Radio and Beyond. I'm Chip. That says that's Brian. You've been listening to ChipChat on Beltway Radio and Beyond.
Sweeps.
I hope you enjoy what we promote to use. I don't watch. I hope you enjoy what we promote. ChipChat Radio, and we're your host. I hope you enjoy